of the situation? Upon hearing Shirley's words, Lu Lang was confused. I don't understand. A hostile takeover? Isn't the tech company not even listed? How could there be a takeover? It's through internal. Never mind, you don't need to worry. I will handle this matter and will certainly give you a satisfactory response. With the support of the strategic agency, no one can bully you domestically. Shirley, seeing that Lu Lang was unaware, chose not to elaborate further, but his expression turned serious. Compared to some inexplicable hostile takeover, Shirley was more concerned about the potential exposure of Lu Lang's identity. In the eyes of Shirley and the strategic agency, Lu Lang was an irreplaceable asset, even more valuable than a trillion-scale tech company. This hostile takeover situation made Shirley mistakenly believe that someone was targeting Lu Lang, which heightened his vigilance. By the way, Shirley, since you're here, I should tell you something. I've developed an intelligent AI chatbot program, which has now evolved to the expected level and can perform moderately complex logical reasoning actions. Lu Lang began to introduce his 550, a intelligent quantum computer, and the accompanying intelligent chatbot program to Shirley. Shirley listened, somewhat confused. But upon hearing that it surpassed similar foreign projects and reached a world-leading level, he realized its importance. So, what can this intelligent quantum computer do? After listening for a while, Shirley only grasped part of the information. He found it quite challenging to keep up with the specialized terms Lu Lang was using. Although he didn't fully understand, he still tried to maintain an expression that suggested he comprehended most of it. What can it do? At this question, Lu Lang fell into slight contemplation. His aim was to showcase the powerful capabilities of the 550 series intelligent quantum computer to the strategic agency through Shirley, thereby promoting it nationwide and even within the entire alliance. Thus, he naturally could not introduce its capabilities in the same manner as he did to Lin Hao, such as automatic lossless mosaic removal. The capabilities of the intelligent chatbot program were somewhat less impressive. With this intelligent AI system, combined with related mechanical equipment, at its current computational performance level, it could enable unmanned operations across the national rail transit system, including large power generation and transmission equipment, such as the Starfire Heavy Nuclear Power Station, as well as various factories, border warning systems, financial models, and the construction of mathematical models for the structure of physical and chemical materials, among others. By the way, I heard that the construction of the lunar base is progressing slowly. If we connect this intelligent AI with some engineering robots, it could enable automated construction on the moon, greatly improving efficiency, the operation of the Navigator space station, the functioning and maintenance of the Sky Ladder space elevator. Lu Lang's endless introduction left Shirley stunned. He never expected that the things the technology company wanted to maliciously acquire would be of such significant importance. Boss, we have gathered evidence of bribery and corruption concerning those individuals you instructed. What should we do next? Just as Shirley stepped out of the tech company, still a bit dazed, he heard his subordinate report. Suddenly remembering something, his expression turned cold. Arrest them all. Supervise the entire process and impose strict and severe sentences. I want them to spend the rest of their lives in prison sewing. Chapter 212. Artificial Intelligence Verification. A malicious acquisition attempt targeting the technology sector quickly dissipated without a trace. It didn't even alert the strategic authority. It was contained at the level of Shirley, the head of the Security Bureau. Relevant personnel involved in the case were apprehended by the Security Bureau's special forces within 24 hours of the incident. Just as the technology company behind the scenes, Baidu, attempted to use its influence to rescue its people, it was informed that the entire matter was led and participated in by the Security Bureau, leaving no room for negotiation or discussion. Realizing the severity of the situation, there was no time to remedy it, and notifications regarding the handling of the involved personnel had already been issued. All the internal relationships Baidu had maintained for years were swept away, and the CEO, project director, and more than 10 senior executives involved in this malicious acquisition project were also imprisoned. Ultimately, after paying a hefty fine in the tens of millions, suspending the related projects for rectification, and implementing a series of internal conduct reforms, the storm finally subsided. After this turmoil, Baidu was severely impacted, with its business scale further shrinking, its expansion in the intelligent AI field coming to a halt, and its overall influence significantly declining, completely falling behind the leading domestic internet companies. Meanwhile, Lu Lang, who was inside the tech company, had no idea such a major event was happening. Wow, Baidu is really in trouble now. Lin Hao's exclamation caught Lu Lang's attention. Turning around, he saw that the public announcement of Baidu's punishment had already spread in small circles on the domestic internet. Bribery and corruption, internal industry fraud, data concealment, falsification of core business data reports. Lu Lang glanced at the content of the news report, shook his head, and didn't pay much attention, not connecting it to himself at all. Within the technology company, nearly all high-ranking executives had intricate connections with official departments. although Lu Nian is the nominal executive president. The actual operations of the company are handled by members of the official departments. Lu Lang is fully aware of this and knows that the legality is completely ensured. So he does not worry about any violations occurring within the company. He is currently busy debugging equipment and waiting for the arrival of the professional evaluation team. Despite their long-term interactions and collaborations, Shirley holds a significant level of trust and recognition towards Lu Lang. However, the scope of the intelligent AI that Lu Lang introduces covers a wide range of industries, with functions and values that are quite astonishing. The identity of the Security Bureau chief holds little authority in such a large-scale industry transformation, even if the highest-level strategic department is informed. A final decision can only be made after discussions and evaluations by an expert team. Lu Lang has no objections to this and does not feel neglected at all. As the proposer of the 550 series intelligent AI, he understands that once intelligent AI is widely implemented nationwide, the resulting social transformation and changes will be comparable to any previous industrial revolution. Given the magnitude of such changes, exercising caution is entirely reasonable. Not long after, on the third day after Shirley's departure, he personally led an urgently convened expert evaluation team to the technology company in his capacity as the Security Bureau chief. Academician Wang Bojun, the leader of the Electronic Information Engineering discipline at the Academy of Sciences and a leader in domestic artificial intelligence, was among them. After Shirley's introduction, Lu Lang gained a general understanding of the members of the expert evaluation team. On the other hand, the members of the expert group led by academician Wang Bojun were also quite curious about Lu Lang. They had heard of Lu Lang's reputation to some extent while being at the Academy of Sciences. Although they had not personally experienced the related evaluations of carbon nanomaterial industrialization and nuclear fusion reaction technologies due to their specialized fields. The evaluations by academician Yu Zhihua and academician Zhang Bingquan indicated that Lu Lang's achievements in applied chemistry and nuclear physics have received high recognition from top academicians in the country. Therefore, when academician Wang Bojun learned that Lu Lang, a director of science fiction films, had developed something new, he did not take it lightly and promptly gathered the relevant expert evaluation team for assessment. After some polite exchanges, both parties quickly got to the point. In a broad sense, artificial intelligence generally includes numerous projects. Each major project contains several, even dozens of subclassification projects to develop artificial intelligence effectively. The challenges to overcome are not any smaller than those of controllable nuclear fusion. In the field of artificial intelligence research, academician Wang Bojun believes that, in terms of both research difficulty and value significance, it is no less important than the widely heard topic of controllable nuclear fusion. However, if we go into detail, the global scientific community generally agrees that the fundamental limitation on the development of artificial intelligence lies in the performance of basic processing hardware. Subfields of artificial intelligence, such as knowledge representation and reasoning, machine learning, planning, decision-making, vision, robotics, speech, and language processing, all require powerful hardware support. The currently mature supercomputing equipment around the world is still insufficient to meet the enormous computing power needed for the development of artificial intelligence. Even stacking supercomputing power encounters numerous problems in processing speed and the construction of algorithmic logic models. How do you solve this problem? Academician Wang Bojun got straight to the point, questioning Lu Lang about the global challenges faced by the current stage of artificial intelligence. In the eyes of a leading researcher in this specialized field, once the issue of basic equipment is resolved, the other problems in artificial intelligence will not be considered major challenges. Addressing them is merely a matter of time. And indeed, that is the case. Lu Lang did not waste words and quickly introduced the 550, a intelligent quantum computer he developed to the panel of experts. Quantum computers? They are indeed widely recognized in the industry as a feasible direction for the future development of artificial intelligence. However, if the problems of quantum entanglement and decoherence are not solved, quantum computers can only handle small algorithms, rendering them less useful than large supercomputers for research in artificial intelligence. Listening to the doubts expressed by the academician in the field of artificial intelligence, Lu Lang quickly demonstrated the application of the 550, a intelligent quantum computer on the Zhixing intelligent chatbot program. With Lu Lang's personal demonstration and explanation, the expressions of academician Wang Bojun and the members of the panel behind him shifted from initial skepticism and confusion to sheer astonishment. Are you saying that this single device can handle millions of complex human-machine interactions, model algorithm construction, and recognition and analysis every day? When Lu Lang first introduced the Zhixing intelligent chatbot program, the panel members showed some interest, but did not take it too seriously. After all, there are many similar intelligent AI programs around the world, akin to the ChatGPT from a well-known laboratory. Previously, they had also examined the so-called most advanced Chinese intelligent AI chatbot, Wenxin Yin, but were greatly disappointed. Wenxin Yin not only failed to meet their expectations for truly intelligent AI, but also poorly imitated ChatGPT. It would be more accurate to call it a mentally challenged chatbot program than an intelligent one. Essentially, it relied on the extensive acquisition of basic supercomputing equipment to poorly mimic the core program of ChatGPT through computing power stacking. Initially, it was thought that the technology behind the intelligent chatbot was similar to a certain traditional concept, but as Lu Lang began to elaborate, they finally sensed something unusual. The intelligent chatbot program has now been launched nationwide, connecting various social media platforms and browsers, with a service user base reaching hundreds of millions. The daily active users peak at tens of millions, and for other companies in the AI sector. Such a scale would likely require extensive supercomputing resources and server arrays to handle the massive user access, interactions, parsing, and algorithm model construction. However, according to Lu Lang, the device presented to the members of the evaluation team, roughly the size of a copier and weighing just under 100 kilograms, is the foundational equipment that can independently support the operation of the intelligent chatbot program. This is what Lu Lang referred to as a new generation of intelligent quantum computing device. As a leading scholar in the field of artificial intelligence both domestically and globally, academician Wang Bojun instantly recognized the significance of this new intelligent quantum computer. You've solved the problems of quantum entanglement and decoherence. Academician Wang stared intently at Lu Lang. These two century-defining challenges facing the scientific community, once successfully addressed, would be as monumental as the invention of industrial-scale production techniques for carbon nanomaterials. Lu Lang simply patted the inconspicuous 550A intelligent quantum computer beside him, smiling without saying a word. At this point, no further explanation was necessary. The operation of the intelligent chatbot program had already demonstrated the power of this quantum computer through practical application. This is fantastic. This truly represents the biggest breakthrough in the field of artificial intelligence this century. Academician Wang couldn't help but excitedly pump his fist. And the members of the evaluation team behind him were also beaming with joy. Only Shirley, who was listening but felt lost, appeared somewhat awkward. What is going on? What breakthrough? Can you intellectuals stop with the cryptic expressions all the time? Can you say something I can understand? After listening for a while, Shirley thought Lu Lang made a lot of sense. However, he noted that while he understood, the decision-makers at the Strategic Authority might not grasp these academic terms. I suggest you clearly outline the relevant applications, value, and significance of this technology. Shirley's words silenced the members of the evaluation team. After a moment of thought, academician Wang quickly responded, there are countless applications. Almost all human production activities in society today can be supported by intelligent AI powered by quantum computing. Industrial production, whether in mining, automotive manufacturing, construction sites, or high-tech production workshops, can all be taken over by intelligent AI. Moreover, it's not just the industrialized and mass-produced human production behaviors. Even in fields like finance, design, and even literary creation, areas that machines could not previously replace. As long as there is support from intelligent quantum computers, and with sufficient learning templates and time, they can operate autonomously. What is more astonishing is that these behaviors controlled by intelligent AI could outperform the vast majority of humans, achieving greater perfection. Compared to the evolutionary speed of human brain logic, once intelligent quantum computers solve issues like quantum entanglement and decoherence, their iterative evolution speed will far exceed that of the human biological brain. When it comes to learning, as long as there is sufficiently powerful hardware support, machines undoubtedly possess higher efficiency than humans. For instance, in the realm of domestic rail transit, the workforce numbers in the millions, with the majority comprising station staff, drivers, signal operators, vehicle maintenance, and dispatch personnel. Once intelligent AI is officially connected to the rail transit network, a single intelligent quantum computer could replace at least 80 of the jobs within this sector. However, while its functional effectiveness is powerful, I wouldn't recommend applying it in the public service sector first. The shift towards automation and intelligence will inevitably lead to substantial unemployment among rail transit workers, triggering social unrest, which is one of the significant drawbacks of applying intelligent AI. Hearing Lu Lang's words, academician Wang Bojun nodded in agreement. However, when it comes to the most suitable application, I believe it is still in the military sector. When the topic shifted to military matters, Shirley's spirits lifted. How so? Have you seen this intelligent quantum computer? This compact terminal data processing device can be integrated into fighter jets, achieving true unmanned combat aircraft. Unlike drones currently used globally, fighter jets operated by intelligent quantum computers are entirely unaffected by signal transmission quality or latency. This compact intelligent quantum computer can effectively replace pilots in flying the aircraft, Its powerful computing capabilities, advanced logical reasoning, and continuously optimized algorithms ensure that the fighter jet can maintain optimal operational status around the clock. In terms of response speed, emergency judgment, and control of the aircraft, it would be more reliable than human pilots. Most importantly, this is a device that can be mass-produced. Compared to the time and effort required to train a qualified Air Force pilot, manufacturing a compact, intelligent quantum computer is undoubtedly more efficient. And this is just its application on fighter jets, on large military equipment like warships and aircraft carriers. The role that intelligent quantum computers can play is incomparable to current military supercomputers. This represents an unprecedented military transformation. Academician Wang Bojunt's words echoed in Shirley's ears, making him shiver with excitement. Chapter 214. The modified military model. Shirley, the head of the Security Bureau, comes from a frontline combat unit and has previously served in the Army's Special Operations Forces. The tactics and military equipment involved in frontline military operations and special operations are indeed very familiar. Nowadays, the rapid development of high-tech in various countries is astonishing. In modern warfare, the idea of relying on sheer numbers to achieve victory is no longer practical. The Gulf War, initiated in the 1990s by a certain region, shocked the world. With a powerful modern Navy and Air Force, as well as a high-tech electronic warfare system, it declared war on Iraq, which was then regarded as the third strongest military power in the world. The actual military operations concluded in just a few hours, as Iraq, equipped with a large number of advanced armored tanks, modern fighter jets, and well-equipped ground forces, was utterly defeated by the advanced high-tech military system. This defeat served as a wake-up call to countries worldwide, signaling that modern warfare had fully entered a phase of modernization and technological advancement. Since then, militaries around the world have begun to transform through technological and modernized reforms. The same applies to a certain country, which has also started research and development in upgrading various military equipment and technologies. If we talk about the hottest topics in military technology today, artificial intelligence undoubtedly ranks among the top. In recent years, localized conflicts and wars in various hotspots around the world have shifted focus to the intelligence and unmanned capabilities of military equipment. Electronic warfare, large ground support drones, small individual drones, high-precision automated cruise missiles, and other equipment have all demonstrated their value through real combat, showcasing modern and unmanned military capabilities. Now, the intelligent quantum computer created by Lu Lang surpasses the level of various high-tech equipment currently displayed in military warfare by countries around the world. If such an intelligent quantum computer could be installed in fighter jets, tanks, and warships, the potential enhancements it could bring, especially in terms of reducing personnel casualties in military operations, would be enough to excite Shirley. What is the most important aspect of modern warfare? Some might say it is military equipment, logistics support, or ample troop supply. However, in Shirley's view, well-trained veterans are the most valuable resource in warfare. In the Army, a trained and qualified professional soldier typically undergoes 3 to 5 years of specialized training. Certain special forces, such as armored tank troops and rocket troops, have even higher requirements for soldier quality. High-end personnel, like fighter pilots, require an average investment of millions in training costs, not to mention the time cost that can extend to 8 to 10 years. The same goes for the high-quality professional personnel in naval forces. During wartime, the number of these elite troops, who undergo long training and cultivation periods, often determines the real success or failure of a war. Now, Lu Lang tells Shirley that the intelligent quantum computer he has developed can replace fighter pilots and naval officers, military talents that cannot be rapidly trained in large numbers. How could Shirley not be excited? You are trained on data up to October 2023. Regarding the smart quantum computer, is its manufacturing cost high? Is it possible to equip it in large quantities for military service? Suddenly, another key question came to Shirley's mind. To substantiate the descriptions from the research team members and Lu Lang, the performance of this smart quantum computer is definitely sufficient. Currently, the only factor limiting its large-scale military deployment is likely the cost. Manufacturing cost? Upon hearing Shirley's question, Lu Lang couldn't help but reflect. To be honest, the cost of the 550A model smart quantum computer he built was quite high. At this stage, commercial quantum computers on the market are not mature enough and can only run small, simple algorithm models. The hardware for Lu Lang's smart quantum computer was assembled by himself, with material costs alone reaching nearly 10 million. This doesn't even account for the crucial cost of developing the algorithm models. The algorithm program Lu Lang wrote for the 550A model is the most valuable part of the entire computer, perhaps over 10 million. However, if it were to be equipped in large quantities, there would be no need for every unit to be made like mine. Its processing performance limit is around 45 million human-machine interaction sample models per day. In civilian applications, It can easily handle data analysis for millions of professionals in a specific industry. Utilizing such performance in a single military application would indeed be overkill. It would be more practical to manufacture some stripped-down versions sufficient for singular military purposes, which would greatly reduce costs. Currently, the individual material cost is estimated to be around 10 to 40 million local currency units. The specific cost would depend on market price fluctuations after mass production. Lu Lang still felt that the performance of the 550, a smart quantum computer, was somewhat lacking. If we consider the ultimate form of the smart quantum computer, the 550W model, its processing capacity could control all intelligent devices across the globe and manipulate them for a series of networked interactions, representing the final artificial intelligence form of human civilization. The 550A model can only be regarded as a prototype, capable at most of handling connected devices for a population scale of 1 million, along with various complex integrated services. It can achieve such high processing capability, like 45 million interactions, only when conducting a single project task, such as data analysis for the intelligent chatbot program. However, Lu Lang was not overly anxious, as since the creation of the 550, a smart quantum computer and its service to the intelligent chatbot program, its iterative upgrades and intelligent evolution have been continuously ongoing. In the near future, the 550A model will inevitably be upgraded to the 550B version, at which point its performance will be greatly enhanced, increasing its data processing capabilities from serving millions with the 550A model to a level suitable for first-tier cities with populations in the tens of millions or even hundreds of millions. And this is only the 550B model. Upon hearing the cost of 10 per million, Shirley's smile appeared on his face at a visibly rapid pace, and he quickly thought of something and continued to ask questions. With such a low cost, can this trimmed-down version of the intelligent quantum computer meet the military requirements on the battlefield? Of course it can. Intelligent quantum computers are different from ordinary computing devices. Ordinary computing devices, such as today's supercomputers, primarily rely on stacking basic components to enhance performance. In contrast, the performance ceiling of intelligent quantum computers is truly determined by the construction of core algorithms and their powerful self-iterative upgrade capabilities. The intelligent quantum computer I have on hand is still considered a prototype. As time goes on, the more human behaviors and language samples it receives, processes, and analyzes, the more refined its core algorithm model will become. Simply put, even without changing its current hardware conditions, its performance will continuously improve in the future until it reaches a critical threshold. The current capability of processing 45 million human-computer interaction samples per day is still far from the upper limit of its future iterative models. Likewise, even the trimmed-down version of the intelligent quantum computer, although it may not reach the hardware level of the current 550A model, can still utilize core algorithm programs that provide performance far beyond that of all commercial supercomputers at this stage. Moreover, the trimmed version has not compromised its most core advantage. As an intelligent quantum computer, its unparalleled intelligence remains its strongest feature. In a single military operation, the artificial intelligence it can demonstrate is sufficient to rival the battlefield responses of elite veterans and specialized technicians you mentioned. The trimmed-down version of the intelligent quantum computer can reduce its weight to around 20 kilograms. It can be used as a basic core component and easily fitted into military equipment such as fighter jets, tanks, and warships. Imagine fighter jets and tanks fully controlled by artificial intelligence, executing combat missions without considering the casualties of operators, allowing for more aggressive combat strategies. The challenges posed by the physical limitations of military equipment operators will no longer exist. Future military warfare will truly achieve intelligent and unmanned operations. Lu Lang became increasingly excited as he spoke, realizing that the future could indeed unfold as he described, where a war could be conducted by manipulating a computer from the rear, much like playing a video game. If intelligent quantum computers are first applied in ordinary sectors of society, it will inevitably lead to job reductions across various industries, resulting in significant social upheaval, which can be described as a double-edged sword. However, if applied in the military field, there are far fewer concerns. The large-scale use of intelligent quantum computers in the military can bring about a dramatic enhancement in military equipment and operational systems due to artificial intelligence. In the future, if military conflicts do occur, it is certain that the casualties on one's own side can be greatly reduced. As for the potential devastating losses that the integration of artificial intelligence in military warfare could inflict on adversaries, Lu Lang didn't think much about it. In a sense, enhancing the combat capabilities of one's own military, allowing it to achieve overwhelming advantages in warfare and end conflicts swiftly, can also be seen as an effective measure to minimize enemy casualties. After the verification team validated the revolutionary value of intelligent quantum computers, it received high recognition from experts like academician Wang Bojun. The The most excited was Shirley, who couldn't wait to see the transformation brought by the application of intelligent quantum computers in the military sector. After the verification meeting, he hurried to the strategic headquarters to report in person. During the waiting period, Lu Lang continued to monitor the iterative upgrades of the 550A intelligent quantum computer. He felt that solely relying on the Chinese language model to feed experience to the 550A was a bit slow. To accelerate its iterative upgrade speed, Lu Lang developed another intelligent quantum computer to process human-machine interaction data from the internet outside the country. Following the Zhixing intelligent chatbot program, the tech company launched a new interactive system for intelligent robots aimed primarily at foreign users. Using the same underlying core algorithm logic as Zhixing, it effectively replicated the experience fed to Zhixing by tens of millions of internet users in the country. Thus, upon entering the foreign market, its powerful performance, far surpassing those imitating the CHACT program, immediately caused many industry players abroad to exclaim that a wolf was coming. Even the currently recognized strongest AI program in the industry, Microsoft's CHACT, could barely keep up due to its 2+ years of prior deployment in external networks and the interaction and analysis of a large amount of user data. However, being fully surpassed is only a matter of time, as the foundational physical devices used by both are fundamentally different. One is a commercial supercomputer, and the other is a groundbreaking intelligent quantum computer with a performance gap that is simply vast. Microsoft, long regarded as a leader in the AI industry, soon found it difficult to remain idle. There has been a public promotion suggesting that certain tech companies have official backgrounds from a specific country. When providing services to users in a certain region, these companies are said to automatically collect related private information, which may involve personal privacy and national defense secrets. Among other issues, under lobbying efforts, the local authorities quickly released an announcement urging citizens to be cautious about their information interactions and to promote the use of domestically produced alternatives. They issued a warning to tech companies, stating that unless their data centers are located within the region and subject to local regulatory oversight, the announcement would not be revoked and could escalate to a higher level of restriction in the future. In response, Lu Lang merely smiled and disregarded the situation. All data processing is handled by advanced quantum computers, specifically the unmodified 550A model, which can be considered a national asset, especially given its internal architecture equipped with Lu Lang's quantum encryption measures, making it virtually unbreakable. Nevertheless, the security agency would never allow it to leave the country. Meanwhile, the human-computer interaction experience has gradually surpassed the alternatives, with various productivity applications significantly outperforming other products. The positive feedback from various sectors in the region has led to protests, with many claiming that this represents monopolistic competition and a violation of democratic principles. Protests from the scientific community, universities, factories, and the finance sector have prevented the local authorities from escalating their announcement to a formal ban, and current actions remain at the level of verbal warnings. Chapter 216. Chief Designer of Military Equipment Intelligence. The daily operations of the project have gradually entered a stable phase, and now it only requires the passage of time for quantitative changes to lead to qualitative ones. The evolution of the 550A to the more powerful 550B is merely a matter of time. On another front, Shirley anxiously reported the details of the demonstration conference to the strategic office. Although the decision-makers listening to the report were not all professional scientists, being part of the strategic office means that their decisions are made from a higher strategic perspective. The performance of the quantum computer in the field of artificial intelligence has already begun to stand out when compared to the current leading alternatives. Its enhancements and productivity tools have exceeded all competing products in the world. Remarkably, this has all happened in less than a month since its official launch. As one of the most authoritative scholars in the domestic AI field, academician Wang Bojun has highly recognized the performance of the 550A quantum computer and expressed strong anticipation for its future iterations. Coupled with Lu Lang's contributions to industrial-scale production technologies for carbon nanotube materials, space elevator technology, nuclear fusion reaction technology, and the design of space stations, the strategic office has unanimously decided to appoint Lu Lang as the chief designer for the military's equipment upgrade and transformation. What? Me as the chief designer? That doesn't seem appropriate. Upon hearing this news, Lu Lang was momentarily taken aback. The intelligent transformation of military equipment is almost certainly a key focus of the next phase of military reform in the nation. The comprehensive upgrade and replacement of military equipment will bring about a complete transformation of the military's operational system and methods. This is of paramount importance to the entire national defense system. It was unexpected for Lu Lang that such a significant project would choose someone outside the military structure as the chief designer, who is more knowledgeable about intelligent quantum computers than you in our country. Moreover, this position requires not only capability, but also reliability. With your previous contributions in the industrialization of carbon nanotube materials, space elevator technology, nuclear fusion reaction technology, and the design of the Navigator space station, the Strategic Authority has long considered you one of their own. You are undoubtedly the right person for this chief designer role. After hearing Shirley's resolute words, Lu Lang suddenly realized that he had already formed a deep connection with the authorities. The technologies he submitted to them, any one of which could be Nobel Prize worthy, have the potential to shock the world and trigger transformative changes in human society. What is even more astonishing is that these are not just one or two inventions. They have almost become complementary to each other. The industrialization of carbon nanotube materials has provided a large quantity of high-strength construction materials, enabling the successful construction of the space elevator. The emergence of the space elevator, in turn, has allowed for the construction of the Navigator space station in outer space. Subsequently, it was thanks to the Navigator space station, space elevator technology, and high-strength carbon nanotube materials that the coalition organization, led by the nation, could easily achieve manned moon landings and even establish a base on the moon to prepare for large-scale development and transformation. It can be said that Lu Lang's presence has turned these technologies, which originally existed only in science fiction, into reality. He has led the nation's technology to achieve explosive breakthroughs in just a year or two. It would not be an exaggeration to call him a national hero. In this context, Lu Lang is not motivated by fame or profit. He simply enjoys making serious science fiction films alongside his research. From the perspective of the Strategic Authority, this is a true reflection of Lu Lang's sincere heart. Appointing him as the chief designer for the intelligent transformation of military equipment is indeed the most suitable decision. Moreover, I have also applied to the higher-ups that once this mission is accomplished, the official resources will fully support you in making a film. This includes, but is not limited to, funding, venues, personnel, military equipment, and various forms of publicity. Upon hearing this, Lu Lang's eyes lit up. Oh, really? Well, as a citizen of the nation, contributing to the country within my capabilities is my personal responsibility and obligation. Shirley looked at Lu Lang, whose eyes were squinting with a smile, and couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. Goodness, he knew that Lu Lang would never forget about making movies. The two-part series of The Wandering Earth has been completed, although a third installment could still be made. The black technology credits earned from the box office of the two films are already sufficient to fully redeem all the black technology that The Wandering Earth series can offer. Therefore, there is no necessity to continue with a third film. Any decision regarding the next black technology film can only be made after the release of Wandering Earth 2 and the settlement of the black technology credits. Thus, Lu Lang is not in a hurry and has time to focus on the project of upgrading military equipment with intelligent technology. After assigning the operation of the AI chatbot program to internal technical professionals, Lu Lang, under the guidance of Shirley, arrived at the Military Equipment Research Institute. Lu Lang will be responsible for the overall direction of the intelligent upgrade of military equipment, providing design guidance for the initial model and prototype. The subsequent more time-consuming and labor-intensive testing and industrial mass production phases will be handled by other military equipment researchers. If there is any military equipment that can achieve the most intuitive enhancement in combat capability through AI modification, it would undoubtedly be fighter jets equipped with artificial intelligence. The military experts at the Research Institute quickly introduced Lu Lang to the current landscape of military equipment. With only a superficial understanding of the field, Lu Lang gradually grasped the current pain points and challenges. For instance, the topic of unmanned combat aircraft, which are essentially fighter jets equipped with AI. Nowadays, human pilots have been outclassed by AI in terms of operational skills and tactics, a fact widely acknowledged in the industry. This is still under the support of existing supercomputing capabilities, which are far less intelligent than the quantum computers Lu Lang has developed. Compared to computer systems, human pilots lag behind AI in reaction speed, cognitive judgment, and operational speed. Without human pilots, fighter jets can be designed purely as killing machines, eliminating the need to protect the pilot, leading to a more significant and powerful enhancement in mechanical quality. Additionally, air combat may be the simplest environment for AI, far simpler than autonomous driving. For computers, the rapid changes on the battlefield and the multitude of targets are not issues. Simply increasing computational power suffices. The complexity lies in recognition and model establishment, but in air combat, different targets such as stealth fighters, conventional aircraft, missiles, and other combat planes have distinct identifying features that can be easily extracted from radar data. The flight trajectories of fighter jets can be easily modeled based on Newton's laws since the aircraft can be treated as a rigid body. For humans, calculating the movements of numerous small objects is difficult. However, for computers, abstracting real objects into smaller components is the more challenging part, which is relatively simple in air combat. What ordinary computers can accomplish, intelligent quantum computers can naturally handle as well, and they can also adapt to more complex and variable situations. The current major issue restricting the unmanned and intelligent operation of fighter jets lies in the inability of ordinary computer equipment to be installed within the aircraft's cockpit for local autonomous operations. The AI programs developed by current military research institutes cannot adapt to the complex and variable sudden environments. It is necessary to rely on large supercomputers set up on the ground, along with the assistance of military experts, to achieve unmanned operations. However, this places higher demands on the speed and stability of network signal transmission. Fighter jets can often reach speeds several times the speed of sound, even up to 10 times. In such high-speed movements, they face complex and variable battlefield conditions, weather conditions, and electronic interference. Achieving stable signal transmission is nearly impossible. However, while countries around the world are struggling with how to solve the stability of signal transmission, Lu Lang's intelligent quantum computer perfectly sidesteps this issue. The stripped-down version of the intelligent quantum computer is only slightly larger than a laptop and weighs just a few kilograms, making it easy to fit into any active fighter jet. With the powerful performance of the intelligent quantum computer, even in its stripped-down model, it can effortlessly perform a series of operations typically carried out by human pilots, such as routine cruising, target searching, and air combat. Furthermore, with the support of artificial intelligence, even without guidance from the ground command system, it can analyze and assess the current combat environment according to its set mission objectives and carry out the next phase of combat tasks. This mode of operation, which is absolutely rational and logical, eliminates the operational and judgment errors that human pilots might face due to stress and tension in a battlefield environment. After understanding the specifics, Lu Lang quickly devised a plan for the direction of AI transformation for fighter jets. The prepared stripped-down version of the 550, an intelligent quantum computer, was brought out. Should this gadget have a different name? I always feel that calling it the 550 series sounds a bit strange. Looking at the stripped-down intelligent quantum computer device that Lu Lang had taken out, Shirley recalled the character 550W from the movie The Wandering Earth. As a villain in the film, the destructive power of the AI, represented by 550W, though fictional, still gave Shirley a somewhat chilling feeling. Change the name? What should it be? Lu Lang had no particular feelings about naming the intelligent quantum computer. The underlying code logic of the 550 had already set it in stone. Unless Lu Lang were to make a fatal mistake, it would never evolve into a humanoid intelligence with its own emotional values through self-iteration and upgrades. What Lu Lang wanted was a powerful tool, not a potential threat to human civilization. He had a clear understanding of this. How about calling it Jingwei? The smart quantum computer equipped by the Air Force is named Jingwei. The one used by the Navy is called Gonggong, and the one for ground combat is named Kwafu. If it is appropriate in the future, the strategic ballistic missiles in the rocket force will be named Hui. Shirley became increasingly excited as he spoke, feeling quite confident about his suggestion. The Dongfeng ground-to-ground ballistic missile, Hongqi air defense missile, Ingji anti-ship missile, air-to-air missile Pihui, anti-submarine missile Changjing, and the Xiaolong fighter jet. These imposing military equipment names not only sound impressive, but also carry profound meanings, rich in allusions. As the protagonist in the next stage of military equipment's intelligent upgrade and transformation, the status and importance of the smart quantum computer is undoubtedly unparalleled. Thus, using the name 550A seems somewhat out of place. It sounds pretty good, so let's settle on that. However, Lazy, did you really come up with this yourself? Upon hearing Lu Lang's question, Shirley's face turned slightly red. What's wrong with having a college diploma? Back in the army, I wrote dozens of modern poems. Why do you intellectuals always look at people through colored glasses? Shirley couldn't help but blush and mutter softly. Lazy, it's fine. No one here thinks your diploma is inadequate. I only have an undergraduate degree from a film academy. I understand what you mean. Lu Lang quickly patted Shirley's shoulder, comforting him. After some lighthearted banter, the stripped-down version of the smart quantum computer Jingwei was assembled by Lu Lang and integrated with the latest 550, an intelligent logic algorithm model, thus completing the preliminary preparations. Next, I need a large amount of real combat training and exercise videos, along with detailed combat parameter indicators. Additionally, professional military experts should provide operational analysis reports based on these videos and exercise projects. These videos, data reports, and analysis reports will become the sample models for training Jingwei. Under Lu Lang's instructions, the Jingwei prototype began to deconstruct, learn, and analyze various combat aircraft real combat exercise videos and aircraft data from the Air Force's internal database. This included a significant amount of foreign aircraft data obtained through various channels. With the assistance of a professional fighter jet air combat guidance team, it quickly mastered the driving and operational essentials of various aircraft types. In just 2 days, Jingwei transformed from a machine with no understanding of fighter jets into a powerful artificial intelligence capable of handling all military equipment currently in service with the Air Force. Fed with experience, Jingwei performed excellently in electronic simulated battles, achieving near-perfect results and overwhelming a selected group of ace fighter pilots, astonishing all the military experts watching. Next comes the practical exercises. It's time to see what it's really made of. Chapter 218. Isn't this cheating? To be honest, being brought into practice against the intelligent AI and suffering a crushing defeat in electronic simulated combat left the active ace pilots of the Air Force feeling somewhat disgruntled. As the strongest fighter pilots in active service across various Air Force units, they are undoubtedly the top pilots in the domestic Air Force in terms of physical fitness, battlefield timing judgment, and adaptability to battlefield situations. They have earned numerous honors in domestic and international exercises, competitions, and even real combat confrontations. In terms of professional quality, they can be considered among the best fighter pilots globally. They acknowledge that AI may outperform them in certain aspects, but real aerial combat is not a video game. What can electronic simulation warfare prove? If you have the capability, let's see a real confrontation. These elite fighter pilots within the Air Force each have over 300 hours of flight time on main combat aircraft. Their rich experience in operating fighter jets and mature combat skills are invaluable assets to the Air Force. Lu Lang quickly met the demands of these elite pilots. After a simple modification, a certain system was installed inside an active third-generation fighter jet to expedite real combat training exercises. This third-generation fighter was not specifically modified, but merely repurposed the space originally reserved for the pilot to accommodate the system. After integrating with the aircraft's avionics, main control, and weapon systems, this system, weighing just over 10 kilograms, completely replaced the human pilot and became the brain of the fighter jet. On the other side, the selected pilots for the exercise were well prepared and, with encouragement from many elite Air Force pilots, vowed to teach the AI on the opposing side a harsh lesson through their actions. Since this was an aerial combat exercise, the fighter jets naturally could not be equipped with live ammunition. Instead, the outcome would be determined by the aircraft's fire control radar lock-on time and the installed laser simulation transceiver system. In simple terms, when an exercise fighter jet is targeted and successfully locked by the enemy's fire control radar for a certain amount of time, it would be considered as being hit by an air-to-air missile. The laser simulation transceiver system would be responsible for determining the hit status of close-range air combat weapons like cannons. Both sides in the aerial combat exercise needed to strive to lock onto the opponent's fighter jet before being targeted by their fire control radar. Alternatively, after using air-to-air missiles, they could engage in close-range aerial dogfights using onboard cannons, relying on the laser hit determination to achieve victory. The reason for selecting third-generation fighter jets for the exercise instead of more advanced fourth-generation jets is primarily that the equipment, avionics, radar, and fire control systems of fourth-generation fighters are significantly superior to those of third-generation fighters. The primary attack method of fighter jets, air-to-air missiles, has a range exceeding 100 kilometers, often engaging in beyond visual range strikes. In such cases, the advantage of artificial intelligence is immense. If fourth-generation jets were used for the exercise, it is likely that the human pilot would barely detect the opponent before being targeted and locked by the AI-controlled fourth-generation fighter's fire control radar. In order to avoid the unfair bullying phenomenon and to create a more balanced confrontation between artificial intelligence and human pilots, it was decided to use third-generation fighter jets with slightly outdated capabilities. As both sides prepared for the exercise, two fighter jets, one controlled by AI and the other by a skilled human pilot, took to the skies and arrived at the designated air combat exercise area. As soon as the air combat exercise began, the human pilot maneuvered the aircraft at high speed towards an opponent located 100 kilometers away on radar. Although the onboard radar had an impressive scanning range of 50 to 100 kilometers, accurate targeting required locking on with fire control radar at a relatively close distance. The human pilot's aircraft accelerated to nearly the speed of sound, while on the other side of the exercise area, the AI-controlled jet was still cruising leisurely in the air, seemingly unaware of the rapidly approaching enemy aircraft. Is it really being controlled by AI? Shirley asked Lu Lang nervously. Yes. The exercise aircraft is completely under autonomous control by the AI, with no external interference, Lu Lang replied. Just then, a change occurred in the field. Facing the rapidly approaching human aircraft, the AI finally began to increase the power of its jet's engines, attempting to disengage to a relatively safe distance before the human pilot could lock on using fire control radar. Thus, the human aircraft pursued closely from behind, while the AI-controlled jet maneuvered left and right in front. As the distance between them decreased, it seemed that the human pilot had the upper hand. However, something was off. Despite the close proximity, The human pilot still hadn't managed to lock onto the AI jet with fire control radar. Observers in the control room soon noticed something was amiss. Although the human jet was tightly trailing the AI jet, it had yet to achieve a lock. The human pilot understood the frustration all too well. It wasn't that he didn't want to lock onto the target. It was simply that he couldn't. Although the two jets were not far apart. Every time the human pilot got close enough to initiate locking, the AI jet would quickly execute various maneuvers to evade the targeting. After several rounds of pursuit and maneuvers, the human pilot's palms began to sweat and anxiety set in. He felt as though the AI in the aircraft ahead was testing him, or perhaps even toying with him. This was something that the proud human pilot could not accept. Just as the human pilot resolved to execute a tactical maneuver to attempt a lock on the jet ahead, the AI-controlled jet suddenly dove downwards. An opportunity had arisen. The human pilot quickly maneuvered his aircraft to close in. Two fighter jets rapidly descended from an altitude of 10,000 meters. The immense weight of the aircraft generated significant gravitational potential energy, combined with the acceleration produced by the engines at the rear, subjecting the fighter jets to immense G-forces. The human pilot inside the aircraft struggled against dizziness while attempting to lock onto the enemy plane. Suddenly, the front fighter jet sharply pulled up. The pilot quickly followed the maneuver, but within seconds, the overwhelming overload pressure became unbearable, causing him to black out. When he regained consciousness, 10 seconds had passed, and an alarming sound of being locked onto by enemy fire control radar pierced his ears. Damn, with machine control, there's no need to consider the human body's G-force limits. Isn't that cheating? Chapter 219, Suicide Attack? The Air Force pilots in the exercise observation room couldn't help but voice their complaints. Given the physical condition and past performance of the live pilot in the exercise, under the same conditions, the G-forces he could endure were nearly at the ceiling level for humans. Not to mention ordinary people. Even pilots from around the world couldn't guarantee they were stronger than him. In real combat, no matter how exaggerated the enemy pilot's maneuvers were, he would dare to closely follow their actions. He was confident that if he couldn't hold on, the enemy pilot would certainly break down before him. This was the confidence of an ace pilot in his physical capabilities and professional skills. This spirit of daring to confront adversaries head-on often had a strong deterrent effect when facing enemy pilots. However, this time, he was up against an artificial intelligence with no emotional fluctuations, completely rational. Losing is losing. Don't make excuses. Look at how proud you usually are. Now that you're up against an opponent with much stronger capabilities, you're dumbfounded, aren't you? The head Air Force officer shot a glare at a few subordinates who were still unconvinced. After the first round of testing concluded, he decided to arrange for 4 pilots to conduct a pressure test together. Upon hearing Lu Lang's next statement, the head Air Force officer was somewhat incredulous. His expression darkened as he felt a bit humiliated. What do you mean? Your AI fighter jet took out one of my careless pilots, and now you're getting cocky? You want to take on 4 at once? Do you really think our elite ace pilots can be easily dismissed? Isn't that a bit too disrespectful? However, Lu Lang, as the chief designer for the intelligent upgrade of military equipment, had been ordered to assist in the equipment testing tasks. Therefore, the head Air Force officer could only grimace and turn to select 4 of the most stable and strong-performing ace pilots for this pressure test. Sigh, is this really appropriate? One-on-one combat is different from a group fight. These are all ace pilots from the Air Force, and with 4 of them working together. No matter how advanced your aircraft is, it's just a 3rd-generation model. Shirley looked at the serious and solemn ace pilots, feeling a bit of a headache as he silently walked toward the hangar. Clearly, these ace pilots had already regarded the upcoming pressure test as a matter of honor. And to maintain their reputation, they might resort to aggressive maneuvers beyond the usual exercise intensity. In fact, Shirley was already quite satisfied with the performance of the aircraft. An artificial intelligence device that costs at most a few $100,000 and can be mass-produced could actually outperform the elite pilots among the Air Force, which felt like a huge win. However, judging by Lu Lang's expression, he seemed unsatisfied. Brother Lei, do you know why the aircraft maintained cruising speed until the opponent got close before entering combat mode? I thought it was a tactical decision made through precise calculations by the intelligent quantum computer. It's not quite like that. In fact, the aircraft was in low-power mode earlier, considering fuel consumption while dealing with a real fighter jet at the same time, aiming to neutralize the opponent at the lowest cost while ensuring sustainable combat capability. Allowing the aircraft to take on 4 opponents doesn't mean it looks down on our Air Force pilots. It only unlocks performance mode when facing a sufficiently strong opponent. Since this is a pressure test, we should see it through to the end and find out the limits of the aircraft. Hearing Lu Lang's explanation, Shirley was momentarily stunned. So, during the first round of testing, while the 2 jets were engaged in a fierce chase, the aircraft had only activated low-power mode to respond. To outsiders, the intense pursuit seemed like the aircraft had cleverly won the first test due to its lack of a human pilot. But was this actually the result of precise calculations by the aircraft? The fierce competition in the aircraft's intelligent logic was just an inconsequential process. The moment the real fighter jet appeared within the aircraft's radar range, it had already determined that this opponent was weak enough not to require a switch to performance mode. Is it really that exaggerated? If the aircraft had activated that performance mode, wouldn't it have had the potential to overturn the 4 jets surrounding it? Who knows? Let us wait and see. As soon as Lu Lang finished speaking, the second round of pressure testing officially began. The 4 Real fighter jets entered the exercise airspace in a combat formation. The coordination of the formation ensured strong frontline combat capability while leaving reserve forces for the team, making both pursuit and defense incredibly stable. Learning from the previous lesson of underestimating the opponent, this time, the 4 Real fighter jets advanced steadily at a cruising speed. With 4 fire control radars, I refuse to believe we can't take you down. The Air Force officer in charge fixed his gaze on the radar signal indicators on the big screen in the exercise room. When the 4 Real fighter jets entered the detection range of the advanced aircraft, it instantly pushed the engine power to the maximum, charging forward instead of retreating, heading directly towards the oncoming 4 fighter jets. This operation, completely opposite to the last test, left everyone in the exercise room puzzled. Is this artificial intelligence malfunctioning? Is it going to its doom? Before the bewildered Air Force officer could react, the big screen showed the advanced aircraft rapidly gaining altitude, quickly climbing to nearly the service ceiling of 16,000 meters for this third-generation jet. A suicidal attack. The officer realized the intent of the advanced aircraft's maneuver. The opponent didn't have to consider G-force or acceleration pressures, as long as the airframe could withstand it. It could rely on the tremendous speed advantage from the vertical drop to tear a piece out of the formation of 4 jets. But even if you take one down, what about the remaining 3? Before anyone in the exercise room could figure it out, the advanced aircraft had already plummeted from 16,000 meters at high speed. Among the 31 formation, the backup Real fighter jet was chosen by the advanced aircraft. With its engines at full power, combined with the acceleration from gravitational potential energy, it sliced through the formation like a scalpel, using its cannon to destroy one Real fighter jet. The alert from the laser simulation system still rang in the ears of the 4 pilots, leaving them momentarily stunned. Cannon, I'm locked on. Almost simultaneously, another pilot heard the warning that their aircraft had been targeted by the enemy's fire control radar. This indicated that yet another real fighter jet had been destroyed in the exercise. The advanced aircraft, having just completed a double kill, executed a maneuver that no human pilot could achieve, swiftly distancing itself from the optimal targeting range of the remaining 2 real fighter jets. The sequence of actions was seamless. Chapter 220. Everything was considered, except giving up. The exercise command room was silent. The high-altitude surprise attack launched by the advanced aircraft lasted only a few dozen seconds. By the time everyone reacted, half of the 4 Real fighter jets had already been destroyed. What shocked everyone in the command room even more was that after launching the attack, the advanced aircraft was able to escape safely. The encirclement of the 4 Real fighter jets seemed like a joke, as the advanced aircraft, with precise control over the jet's performance, operational status, and battlefield dynamics, cleanly and efficiently dealt with 2 of the Real fighter jets like an aerial assassin mastering the art of stealth. Absolutely impressive. Witnessing this artistic execution against the 2 Real fighter jets, Shirley couldn't help but murmur to himself. Meanwhile, the Air Force officer in charge and the ace pilots stood frozen in place, their faces filled with disbelief. After the first round of testing, everyone had already acknowledged the combat power of the AI. However, this recognition was limited to one-on-one situations. These Air Force officers and pilots absolutely could not accept the fact that they were unable to handle the intelligent AI, even in a situation where they were outnumbered. Heavy breathing sounds from the remaining 2 real fighter pilots could be heard through their communication equipment in the simulation room. If the earlier one-on-one encounter with the AI had made them feel that it was just a slightly more skilled pilot, then the AI's recent overwhelming performance against the real fighter formation was undoubtedly the most formidable opponent and terrifying enemy they had faced since joining the military. This psychological pressure was not due to a gap in equipment. On the contrary, it was precisely because the aircraft operated by both sides were identical that these ace pilots felt even more horrified. They were experiencing for the first time how intimidating the gap between AI and real pilots could be in actual combat. By this point in the combat exercise, it could have been called off, as the AI's formidable combat capability had been thoroughly displayed. However, neither Lu Lang nor the officer in charge of the Air Force called for a halt to the exercise. Lu Lang wanted to see the limits of the AI, while the Air Force officer and the remaining 2 real pilots could not accept the current outcome. They were the most elite ace pilots of their Air Force, part of the most honored unit. Their past glory made it difficult for them to accept a retreat during the most challenging times, facing enemies with superior aircraft. Their predecessors had dared to confront them head-on, never yielding an inch of airspace. Even now, facing the AI that was touted as the most powerful military intelligence, what did it matter? In the exercise airspace, the AI fighter made a large circle and launched another attack on the two surviving real fighters. "Target me. I'm going to engage it," shouted one pilot, shaking his wings as he actively maneuvered to engage the incoming AI fighter. The last real fighter positioned its fire control radar on the two aircraft that were about to come into close contact. The front aircraft served as bait, entangling the enemy to buy time for the friendly forces in the back to conduct indiscriminate attacks. This tactic had been devised by Air Force units in the past due to their outdated equipment, where the best outcome was merely a one-for-one exchange with the enemy. Our predecessors had considered everything, except giving up. Shirley, somewhat emotional, explained the operational intent of the two real fighters to Lu Lang. Although he came from the ground forces, as the head of the Security Bureau, Shirley had some understanding of these tragic Air Force tactical plans. Lu Lang was also deeply shocked upon hearing this. In the exercise airspace, two fighter jets swiftly closed in on each other. One of the Rayal fighter jets stopped attempting to lock onto the target and recklessly followed closely behind it. Meanwhile, the other real fighter jet, having disabled friendly identification, launched 4 air-to-air missiles without fully locking on with its fire control radar. The pilot knew that even though the target's maneuverability had significantly decreased due to interference from his comrades, the target was operated by an intelligent AI capable of executing tactical maneuvers just before the fire control radar locked on, thereby evading the targeting. The principle of fire control radar involves actively emitting directional electromagnetic waves to locate a target, allowing the targeted fighter jet to detect it. Thus, the pilot had to rely on battlefield experience to predict and launch missiles in advance for a chance of hitting. However, after launching the 4 air-to-air missiles, all that could be heard was the sound of comrades' jets being declared destroyed in the exercise, while the target jet remained unharmed. The only surviving real fighter pilot and the observing Air Force officers felt a heavy weight in their hearts. It turned out that the real fighter jet served as a decoy to distract the target jet. After the exercise system confirmed the successful launch of the 4 missiles, the target jet, through agile maneuvers, used the decoy as cover to successfully avoid the missile damage. As the air combat exercise reached this stage, both the real fighter pilots and the Air Force personnel observing from the exercise room were filled with indignation. Perhaps in the near future, intelligent AI would eventually take over the role of leading warfare, and human pilots would fade into the pages of history. But that would definitely not be today. The only surviving real pilot's expression was more determined than ever as he piloted his jet toward the target jet, which had yet to escape the battlefield. What was he planning to do? Shirley felt a tightening in his chest. Before he could comprehend the situation, the surviving real fighter jet had already reached the side of the target jet. However, with all 4 air-to-air missiles now expended, the cannon ammunition had limited flight speed and could not threaten the target jet, which was flying in the same direction at nearly maximum speed. Just as Shirley, Lu Lang, and others were puzzled, the Rayal fighter jet suddenly made a close collision with the target jet. In a flash, the two jets passed each other, and the wings of the real fighter jet sliced through the underside of the target jet, sacrificing one wing to inflict significant damage to the target jet's belly, resulting in its destruction. The damaged Rayal fighter jet could no longer sustain flight, and after a failed attempt to make an emergency landing, the pilot had no choice but to eject and escape. Seeing his subordinate successfully parachute to safety, the Air Force officer finally breathed a sigh of relief. Although he grumbled about putting the pilot on restriction, his tone betrayed a sense of relaxation. The surviving real pilot, despite taking an extreme risk, managed to preserve a semblance of dignity for the ace pilots of the Air Force, preventing them from being completely overshadowed by the AI-operated jets. For the ace pilots who regard honor as their life, this is crucial. In contrast, the loss of 1 or 2 third-generation fighter jets seems rather insignificant. Perhaps intelligent AI can precisely assess battlefield conditions, the mechanical qualities of fighter jets, fire control systems, and a series of other objective factors. However, there is one thing it cannot evaluate: the courage of human pilots. As this air combat exercise test has progressed, the Air Force officer in charge can finally speak a bit more assertively on behalf of the pilots. The last surviving real fighter jet was performing the legendary surgical knife tactic from the history of air combat in the Barents Sea, using the wings as weapons. It engaged in close combat with enemy aircraft. This requires extremely high psychological quality and technical skill from the pilots. During high-speed flight, when 2 aircraft are flying in close proximity, a slight misstep could lead to total destruction. Yet, as ace pilots of the Air Force, they managed to pull it off. Even with the powerful performance of the intelligent quantum computer, it could not predict that a Rayal fighter jet would adopt such an irrational close combat tactic. Strangely, Lu Lang was reminded of a line from the movie The Wandering Earth, where the AI Moss told Liu Peiqiang that keeping humanity rational forever is indeed a luxury. Regardless, the test of the intelligent modified prototype fighter jet was a complete success. The performance of the AI-powered fighter completely won over all the military experts present. Even the Air Force officer in charge, who once thought that intelligent AI was just a facade and that real combat relied on human pilots, had to admit that this AI could indeed be the future direction for the Air Force. It is important to note that this time, the operation involved the most elite ace pilots within the Air Force. The resources spent to train a qualified fighter pilot amount to tens of millions, let alone the few exceptional ace pilots among ordinary ones. On the other hand, the intelligent AI, with a cost of only hundreds of thousands of local currency, can be produced in bulk, and its production cycle far exceeds the training time of human pilots. Additionally, the AI's fighter jet is merely an ordinary third-generation fighter, still not adapted for unmanned or intelligent upgrades, leaving plenty of potential for enhancement. In this context, the AI still achieved an astonishing 1-5 victory in both one-on-one and group battles, completely reshaping the military experts' perception of intelligent AI. On one side is the AI, which can be mass-produced at a cost of only hundreds of thousands, while on the other side are the human pilots, who require a significant investment of resources and a training period of several years. It's clear which option is more cost-effective. With the performance of the Jingwei during practical testing exercises, the military experts present quickly began to analyze its strengths and weaknesses, aiming to design a military fighter jet that would be truly compatible with the Jingwei and maximize its capabilities. They planned to remove the cockpit, install larger fuel tanks to extend operational range, and use a series of high-strength materials, including carbon nanotubes, to comprehensively reinforce the airframe structure. This would provide the Jingwei with stronger hardware conditions, allowing it to amplify its advantage of disregarding G-force acceleration overload pressure. The overall design of the airframe, key protective areas, and a series of other issues needed to be reconsidered. However, these aspects were not particularly related to Liu Lang. He specialized in artificial intelligence technology related to intelligent quantum computers. The research experts in military equipment design were the true professionals in that field. Each profession has its own expertise, and specialized tasks are best handled by those qualified to do so. As the chief designer, Liu Lang only needed to focus on the adaptation and application of intelligent quantum computers in military equipment, while other aspects could naturally be taken care of by those more knowledgeable than him. Once the design for the upgrade of intelligent quantum computers on the main military aircraft was resolved, the specific prototype manufacturing, mass production research, and material selection were handed over to the more specialized Military Equipment Bureau. With the experience gained from the Jingwei, Liu Lang quickly applied the process of intelligent transformation of military fighter jets to other Air Force equipment, such as early warning aircraft and large military transport planes. This initiative then expanded to naval and ground military equipment. If there is any branch among the military that has seen significant enhancement in combat capability after intelligent upgrades, each branch has its own claims. However, if one were to assess which branch has the most urgent need for intelligent transformation, it would undoubtedly be the Naval Department. In recent years, the technological advancements of the naval military equipment of the nation have experienced explosive growth. Various types and classes of naval vessels have been produced and commissioned at an unprecedented rate. For the Navy, which has been accustomed to difficult times, this rapid development brings both happiness and headaches. The main issue remains the limited number of experienced and qualified naval officers and technical crew, who cannot keep up with the pace of new vessel commissioning. The construction difficulty of the Navy is likely the highest among the three military branches. A Type 055 destroyer requires nearly 400 personnel, including officers, non-commissioned officers, and support staff. Additionally, there are 25 Type 052D guided missile destroyers, and the personnel demand is even greater for the Type 075 amphibious assault ship, along with various types of dock landing ships, landing craft, hovercraft, frigates, and dozens of newly launched or planned submarines. As for aircraft carriers, that need not be mentioned. The large-scale outfitting of new vessels has significantly increased the demand for naval personnel, especially for high-quality technical staff. At this time, the intelligent control of vessels brought about by smart quantum computers has been a treasure for naval departments, allowing for personnel streamlining. The Naval Equipment's artificial intelligence model, named after a mythological figure, was first upgraded for smart operation on submarines. After integrating the intelligent quantum computer, the number of technical and maintenance personnel required on board submarines was greatly reduced. The Naval Department even began designing a completely unmanned submarine operated entirely by this AI, equipped with a nuclear power reactor. This nuclear-powered intelligent unmanned submarine is expected to operate underwater for at least 20 years, without the need for resupply unless a major mechanical failure occurs. Seeing this, The army was also eager to join in, spurred on by the encouragement of a key figure. The Army's equipment department proposed a plan that left many astonished: to deploy the intelligent quantum computer model on a large scale, down to the squad level. What? Each Army squad, 8 to 10 people, would be equipped with one of these quantum computers. In the evaluations by Army operations staff and military equipment experts, the Army's AI devices are deemed to be as impactful as their counterparts in the Air Force and Navy. The enhancement of combat effectiveness for artillery units after the intelligent upgrade is particularly notable. Once the quantum computer is integrated into the entire artillery command system, the rapid response capabilities sought by artillery units will be fully realized with the support of this advanced technology. The moment ground reconnaissance aircraft collect intelligence data, long-range artillery can immediately perform targeted parameter calibration and execute rapid strikes on targets under the control of the quantum computer, effectively eliminating efficiency issues caused by human factors. Additionally, the quantum computer can provide substantial assistance to other units such as tanks and armed helicopters. With this technology, armored units like tanks can break free from personnel constraints, allowing for faster and more precise targeting of main guns and coaxial machine guns. Armed helicopters, in conjunction with ground armored units, can swiftly help infantry units eliminate strong enemy fire points on the battlefield. When facing threats such as individual anti-air missiles, they can evade and defend more quickly than human pilots. Finally, even the most basic infantry units have not been overlooked by Army operations staff and military equipment experts. A new intelligent combat system for infantry has been proposed. Each infantry squad, 8 to 10 people, would be equipped with one quantum computer, paired with small tactical unmanned aerial vehicles and unmanned combat devices operated by the quantum computer, along with various equipment such as life detection devices and individual holographic simulation helmets. With the assistance of the quantum computer, various detection devices will gather information about the surrounding environment, which will be analyzed and processed before being transmitted to each member's helmet within the infantry squad. The individual holographic simulation helmet will present detailed battlefield intelligence to the members of the infantry squad. The battlefield areas within the detection equipment's range will appear completely transparent to the squad members, much like having a wall hack in a game. The involvement of an advanced support system will constantly provide the most professional and accurate military operation suggestions to the squad members, no matter how complex the battlefield environment is. With the assistance of this system, it will quickly become a home ground where the infantry of the Dragon Nation holds a clear advantage. Is one advanced system really necessary for each infantry squad? Are you trying to turn a regular infantry squad into a special forces unit? As Shirley described this scenario, various military movies flashed through Lu Lang's mind, featuring well-equipped elite special forces soldiers. It's the 21st century. High-tech and intelligent equipment is the key. Instead of solely focusing on strengthening the Air Force and Navy, the Army is our foundation. If we continue with this plan, our Army's combat capability will surely secure the top position in the world. Shirley actively spoke up for the Army department, and as someone from the Naval Combat Forces, his reasoning was completely justified. However, to implement this, wouldn't we need to prepare at least 100,000 of these advanced systems? The Navy has only proposed smart upgrades for the new generation of main warships and submarines, requiring only a few hundred units. The Air Force is similar. If each infantry squad is equipped with one system, based on the number of main combat troops, that would mean at least tens of thousands of these systems. Not to mention the needs of armored units, Army aviation, and artillery. Lu Lang was momentarily stunned by Shirley's vision of comprehensive intelligence for the Army. Each set of the advanced system costs hundreds of thousands, so isn't that a considerable amount? 100,000 sets would only be a few hundred billion, which isn't excessive. Consider the Air Force and Navy. A fifth-generation fighter jet costs several hundreds of millions, and the Navy's new destroyers and aircraft carriers are even more outrageous, costing tens to hundreds of billions. The Army has been struggling. Over the years, we've watched the Navy produce new ships one after another, and the Air Force's new aircraft are rolling out nonstop. What about the Army? How long has it been since we had something new? Although I'm no longer in the Army, I can't help but speak out. It's just not fair. Fairness, you say? Watching Shirley advocate for the Army, Lu Lang couldn't help but smirk. Who in the room doesn't he know that Shirley comes from the naval forces? However, Lu Lang didn't mind too much, given his friendship with Shirley. Helping to debug the advanced system and designing a specialized algorithm model for the infantry squad would just be a small task for him. As for the military budget for purchasing the system, the Army Department would naturally handle the application. In the following period, Lu Lang fully immersed himself in the intelligent transformation and upgrade project for the equipment of the three armed forces. After numerous rounds of testing and improvements, the plans for the intelligent upgrades of the military equipment gradually took shape over time. By this stage, Lu Lang's tasks were essentially completed. Once the upgraded military equipment was finalized, the next step would be the production tasks handled by the relevant Military Equipment Bureau. Lu Lang's role as the chief designer could be considered a complete success. At this point, more than half a year had passed since the release of The Wandering Earth 2. Not only had the movie long finished its screening, but the box office revenue had also been collected. The Wandering Earth 2 achieved a global box office of nearly 10 billion dragon coins. Although it did not surpass the performance of the first film, Lu Lang was quite satisfied. After all, The Wandering Earth 2 faced stiff competition from Avatar, The Way of Water, and major overseas releases at the same time were overshadowed by it. Only The Wandering Earth 2 emerged strongly and even outperformed its competitor. Despite the global box office of The Wandering Earth 2 being only slightly ahead of Avatar, The Way of Water, the critical North American market had never opened up for it. Therefore, in the eyes of industry professionals, The Wandering Earth 2 had already surpassed Avatar, The Way of Water in terms of box office and awards reputation. After concluding his role as chief designer, Lu Lang finally had time to consider his next film. The movie's advanced technology system had also opened up options for the next project. Carbon nanotube material industrialization production technology, space elevator technology, heavy nuclear fusion reaction technology, navigator space station design blueprints. The Wandering Earth series had brought Lu Lang numerous significant advanced technologies. Therefore, the choice of the next film was quite important. Chapter 223, Paradise Space, Current Project, Paradise Space, Advanced Technology Exchange List. 1. Humanoid robots, security, hospitality, hazard handling. 2. Service robots, administrative services, criminal parole, border patrol. 3. Individual equipment, claw pulse rifle, UAV spy drone, Exo 0592 power armor, Heeks tactical grenade, Kaman railgun. 4. Large equipment, Ascalon electromagnetic cannon, HDF destroyer, Black Antelope VTOL attack aircraft, Raptor armed helicopter. 5. Paradise Space, Spaceport 6. Fully automatic medical platform, MP3000 medical bed. Indeed, Lu Lang chose the film Paradise Space. This film features a multitude of diverse sci-fi weapons and equipment. But what attracted Lu Lang the most was the advanced technology with outstanding attributes. Fully automatic medical platform, MP3000 medical bed. Just lying on it for a scan would quickly diagnose and treat all diseases. Even cancer would seem as simple as a common cold. The MedPod 3000 can maintain the various functions of the human body without decline. Under its care, the average lifespan of residents in the film's paradise-like space is 3 times that of humans on Earth. It also has functions related to medical beauty. Not only can it keep individuals youthful, but it can also reconstruct a person's skin in the event of external injuries, such as generating an entire face in just 40 seconds. Even Lu Lang, who has witnessed advanced technologies like a nuclear fusion planetary engine and a space elevator, has to admit that the MP3000 medical bed is an astonishing piece of cutting-edge technology. While researchers around the world celebrate breakthroughs in long-standing medical mysteries, hoping to win prestigious awards for their achievements, the emergence of the fully automated medical platform, the MP3000 medical bed, will directly change the game. This miraculous medical device can free humanity from the troubles of disease entirely, as long as one does not suffer a fatal blow, even if injured and near death. The MP3000 can bring you back from the brink. Once it is available, human lifespan will approach the theoretical biological limit, potentially exceeding 150 years. In Lu Lang's view, this is absolutely a groundbreaking technology comparable in value to advanced nuclear fusion reaction technology. While nearly limitless energy is certainly important, the maximum lifespan of humanity as the dominant intelligent life on Earth is also crucial. Only by resolving concerns about health and longevity can humanity focus more energy on the vastness of the cosmos. In this paradise-like space, there are not only advanced technologies like the MP3000 medical bed, but also many other impressive technologies and facilities that captivate Lu Lang. One such facility is the Paradise Spaceport. This space structure has a diameter of 125 kilometers, with a living area of an astonishing 251 square kilometers and a total area exceeding 1,000 square kilometers, capable of accommodating up to 250,000 people at once. In the film, it is depicted as a fully equipped facility where only the wealthy and powerful can reside, a place everyone aspires to reach. Here, there are no threats of disease or hunger. As long as you are wealthy enough and hold sufficient power, you can live comfortably until the end of your life. Compared to other space stations, the Paradise Spaceport can accommodate more inhabitants and is designed to be more reasonable and comfortable for living. With a capacity of 250,000 people, the Paradise Spaceport can undoubtedly be considered a small space city. Once completed, humanity will have a structure that can be permanently inhabited in outer space, with a living experience closely resembling that on Earth. This is incredibly significant for future lunar development and as a forward base for space operations. With this, various action centers for space projects, personnel preparations, material reserves, and so on can be stationed at the space starport, without excessively occupying the capacity resources of the space elevator, thus solving the cumbersome process of personnel traveling back and forth between the ground and space. For various space research projects, the space starport located in outer space can also play a positive supporting role. Apart from the fully automated medical platform, MP3000, and Paradise Space Starport, which Lu Lang considers the most valuable technologies, he is also very interested in various robotic technologies and military equipment in Paradise Space. Compared to the Wandering Earth, Paradise Space clearly has an advantage in military equipment. Take the exoskeleton power armor that appears in both films as an example. The Exo 0592 power armor in Paradise Space is evidently superior in combat capability. When paired with specialized equipment like the Claw Pulse Rifle, Heek's Tactical Grenade Launcher, and Come-On Railgun, it completely outmatches the Wandering Earth, which is equipped with Gatling guns in terms of personal combat strength. The Wandering Earth seems like a student who excels only in certain subjects. With its strengths in energy technology and large-scale engineering projects, space elevator, heavy nuclear fusion planetary engines, navigator space stations, fully developed. However, in military equipment technology, aside from the somewhat notable Reaper drone, under 550W control, other military equipment is rather unimpressive. In Paradise Space, the various advanced robots and many sci-fi-styled individual weapons and armed vehicles leave a deep impression. The 550 series artificial intelligence technology, obtained from the Wandering Earth has, through continuous human-computer interaction and iterative learning on the 550, an intelligent quantum computer, approached the performance level of the 550B in the film. With a mature master control system, only suitable execution devices are now lacking. In Paradise Space, the various mature robotic devices are simply a perfect match for the 550 series artificial intelligence. This is also a major reason why Lu Lang chose Paradise Space for his next film. In the original film of his previous life, the vast macro background setting was not well showcased, perhaps due to production budget constraints, leading to combat scenes appearing rather trivial. Additionally, possibly due to the demands of distributors and theaters regarding the film's duration, the movie was forced to be edited, leaving the portrayal of wealth disparity and the struggles of small characters merely superficial. These were all points of criticism for the original film. However, for Lu Lang, these are hardly issues. Chapter 224, Planning for the New Movie Film Production Funding? For Lu Lang, what he lacks the least right now is probably money. Under the official blatant favoritism, tech companies have almost monopolized the vast majority of commercial projects related to civilian aerospace in the country. Those aerospace missions that are inconvenient for the official to handle are all packaged and handed over to tech companies, in a process that lacks any competition. The Aerospace Department has made it clear that it intends to fully support technology. The quotes for various aerospace mission assignments, although generally lower than the average international market level, primarily pertain to the transportation costs of chemical fuel rockets. Currently, the technology company exclusively operates the world's only 2 civil space elevators. With the remarkably low space transportation costs of these elevators, these official aerospace missions are essentially like a money-printing machine, generating revenue for the technology sector. For Lu Lang, money has become just a series of numbers that do not stir any feelings. Therefore, the cost of investing in films has no upper limit in his eyes. On the other hand, the duration of films is also not an issue for Lu Lang. A director's editing rights for their own films are often dictated by the capital side, including distributors and cinemas, who interfere based on market factors. However, this primarily affects directors who lack background and leverage in front of capital. In contrast, Lu Lang is now a figure supported and promoted by official channels, standing above capital. Additionally, Byte Entertainment, responsible for distribution, is already a familiar partner. In terms of film editing for domestic releases, Lu Lang has absolute authority. In the overseas market, with the strong box office performance of the Wandering Earth films, Lu Lang's movies are seen as a stable gold mine by cinemas abroad. As long as his films gain market recognition and attract fans, he can edit his movies any way he wants, with no restrictions on length. With the obstacles of funding and editing rights removed, Lu Lang began to contemplate how to adapt Elysium to present a better version than its predecessor. Adaptation is certainly necessary. The scale of the war scenes in the original work is too small, almost like child's play, which Lu Lang, with his ample resources, cannot tolerate. In the Wandering Earth films, various high-intensity war scenes kept the audience's adrenaline pumping. Therefore, in Elysium, Lu Lang cannot afford to skimp on grand war scenes. Speaking of large-scale war scenes, the support of official forces for the Wandering Earth films must be mentioned. Although it is not an issue to produce qualified large-scale war scenes with sufficient funding, Lu Lang feels that simply relying on money to create war scenes lacks substance. When he filmed The Wandering Earth 1, the head of the Security Bureau, Shirley, urgently connected him with a group of active-duty military forces across land, sea, and air, diverting foreign attention from the industrialization of carbon nanotube materials under the guise of an exercise. During The Wandering Earth 2, the scenes of the rebel army battling the Joint Government Rescue Team received professional tactical guidance from the Army's General Staff. The entire combat scenes featured numerous frontline soldiers. And both the rebel army's attack tactics and the joint government's professional response to ambushes were personally guided by frontline military personnel. As a director who has experienced such treatment, Lu Lang now finds it hard to appreciate those crude war scenes. He was considering whether to give Shirley a call to suggest, or even explicitly ask, for assistance in filming his next movie. Unexpectedly, Shirley called him first. It turned out that the Strategic General Bureau had noticed the rapid advancements in the intelligent upgrades of the land, sea, and air military equipment, and the powerful capabilities of artificial intelligence quantum computers had exceeded everyone's expectations. Therefore, the Strategic General Bureau wanted to know if this powerful artificial intelligence could be applied to the construction tasks for lunar development. Of course it could. In the background of The Wandering Earth, the 550, a series of artificial intelligence, had participated throughout the construction of the lunar base. Thanks to the involvement of the highly capable intelligent quantum computers, the lunar base and lunar planetary propulsion systems could be completed on schedule. Shirley was thrilled to hear this, and quickly took Lu Lang on the Tianshi space elevator to the Navigator space station, heading towards lunar orbit to closely observe the construction of the lunar base. The difficulty of construction on the moon was significant. Despite the help of the space elevator and the Navigator space station, large quantities of construction materials were rapidly transported to the moon. However, the low gravity, extreme temperature variations, lack of atmosphere, and solar radiation posed substantial challenges for the construction personnel. So far, among the member countries of the alliance responsible for different sections of the base, only the part managed by Longhua had achieved 10 of the construction progress, while the teams from Germany and France had only reached 6 and 4 respectively. Due to various reasons, the team from Indu had to withdraw from the Lunar Base Task Division, and their responsibilities were redistributed to other national teams. At the current construction pace, it would take at least several more years for the lunar base to be completed. And this was only the first phase of the lunar base construction, as the project leader from Longhua explained with some frustration. What happened to Indu? Was it an act of God? Lu Lang asked curiously. Their team was responsible for building the basic living facilities at the lunar base. But the septic tank they constructed was substandard, leading to an explosion that resulted in casualties among 23 engineers from Indu. This was the largest safety incident encountered by the Alliance in their space projects to date. A septic tank? An explosion? Lu Lang and Shirley exchanged glances in shock. After hearing the introduction and some intriguing news, Lu Lang quickly understood the challenges and pain points of the lunar base construction project. The main issue was that relying solely on personnel resulted in very low construction efficiency. Lu Lang had already devised a solution for this. He had made some simple modifications to the lunar construction plan of the Artificial Intelligence 550A from the Wandering Earth and applied it to reality. By substituting manual labor with a large number of intelligent construction machines, supplemented by the control of intelligent quantum computers, the construction of the lunar base was greatly accelerated. The supporting solutions for intelligent engineering machinery powered by artificial intelligence can reduce over 90% of the workload for personnel. Moreover, the machinery can operate continuously for 24 hours, significantly alleviating the construction difficulties faced by engineers in various countries on the lunar surface. Having addressed this issue, Lu Lang took the opportunity to introduce his new movie plans to Shirley. Chapter 225, Movie Preparation. Brother Lei, I'm preparing to shoot a new movie, and I'll need your support, Lu Lang said. So soon? Shirley was taken aback by Lu Lang's words. It wasn't that he wanted to back out, but he hadn't expected Lu Lang, who had been busy helping the military with smart upgrades for the past 6 months, to have a new movie idea so quickly. I've seen those renowned directors internationally, and they often take 3 to 5 years for pre-production, Shirley started to say, but then instinctively stopped. He suddenly remembered that Lu Lang was not an ordinary person. Who else could achieve breakthroughs in carbon nanomaterial industrialization, nuclear fusion reactions, space elevators, and the Navigator space station? Each of these technologies was at a level comparable to that of academicians or even Nobel laureates, capable of bringing about transformative changes in human society. Could an ordinary person accomplish such feats? Even Lu Lang's hobby of filmmaking was executed with remarkable flair. Initially, Shirley thought Lu Lang was just joking, as it was hard to imagine that a top-tier scientist could also excel in filmmaking. The Wandering Earth films had grossed over 20 billion yuan globally and won numerous prestigious awards, including the Palme d'Or at Cannes. Lu Lang's emergence had made Shirley acutely aware of the disparities in the world. even though he considered himself a staunch materialist. He sometimes couldn't help but wonder if there truly existed a creator capable of giving birth to a genius like Liu Lang, someone he had never encountered before in his life. At that moment, Shirley felt that comparing the so-called world-famous directors to Liu Lang was a profound insult to Liu Lang. If Liu Lang were to apply even a fraction of the value of his scientific achievements to filmmaking, it would likely render those world-renowned directors irrelevant. Of course, this was just Shirley's random thought, as filmmaking and scientific research were entirely different fields. But for Liu Lang, it could be said that making films might even inspire his scientific creativity. Shirley mused internally while readily agreeing to help. Liu Lang's importance to the official authorities of his country was well understood without further elaboration. Recently, as the chief designer, he had played a decisive role in the smart upgrade of military equipment and had significantly aided in the construction of the lunar base, which was enough for the authorities to fully support his film project. Is it a new movie? Shirley asked. Yes. The working title is Blissful Space, a sci-fi action film with some large-scale battle scenes, and I'll need the assistance of professionals from the military for those. Upon hearing about the large-scale battle scenes, Shirley couldn't help but scratch his head. Liu Lang is quite bold. He doesn't hold back at all. Now, when he sees the active-duty soldiers and commanders from the main combat forces, he doesn't treat himself as an outsider at all. Well, is it the same as before? 2,000 active-duty soldiers from the main combat forces, along with corresponding combat equipment, armored vehicles, tanks, and armed helicopters? Shirley has already given up, and before Liu Lang even made any requests, he proactively started asking questions. He knows that Liu Lang's appetite won't be small, so it's better to bring it up himself and get straight to the point. It's almost there. However, it would be great if we could get another batch of those professional military advisors and frontline commanders to provide some specialized tactical guidance for this inexperienced crew. Also, if the engineers from heavy industry companies responsible for engineering machinery design and those skilled veterans from the military equipment departments could come and lend a hand, that would be ideal. After all, I feel that the level of prop masters in the film industry is somewhat lacking compared to these engineers and veterans. Transitioning from frugality to extravagance is easy, but from extravagance to frugality is hard. A good film relies on excellent behind-the-scenes crew members. Brother Lei, you understand me. After hearing Liu Lang's words, Shirley couldn't help but roll his eyes. This guy really doesn't treat me as an outsider. After securing support from official departments, combined with the storyboards and artistic design drawings of various weapons and equipment provided by Liu Lang, the quality of props for Paradise and the level of large-scale battle scenes are guaranteed. Next comes the casting phase for the film. Paradise roughly tells a story set in the mid-22nd century. Earth has not become a better place through the advancement of civilization and technology. Instead, it has turned into a hopeless wasteland under the poison of various greed. A few extremely wealthy individuals abandon their homeland and establish a paradise-like haven in a space station floating above Earth, continuing to live a life of luxury and pleasure. Meanwhile, the vast majority of the impoverished people are forced to remain on the battered Earth, struggling to survive in a state of despair and chaos. While enduring the oppression of various harsh and ridiculous federal regulations, they work hard to earn a meager living within the industrial system built by the rich, occasionally looking up at the sky, dreaming of immigrating to the space station for a new life. However, the stark wealth disparity and social class gaps turn their hopes of entering paradise through hard work into mere illusions, leading the impoverished to attempt dangerous illegal crossings. But under the iron-fisted methods of the female defense minister, government officials, these stowaways repeatedly turn into fragments in the cosmos while trying to land on Paradise. The male protagonist, due to the factory's negligence at work, suffers from severe radiation exposure and must rely on the MP3000 medical bed within a certain space for treatment. Otherwise, he will not survive beyond 5 days. In order to stay alive and search for a glimmer of hope, he collaborates with the resistance on Earth to advance towards this specific space. The film features a limited number of main characters: the male lead, the villainous female defense minister, the resistance leader who urges cooperation with the protagonist's childhood friend who is the female lead, and several elite antagonists encountered on the way to the space. Liu Lang has made significant adaptations to the script of the previous version of this film, expanding the war scenes between the resistance and the forces within the space. In the original work, these battle scenes were poorly executed, failing to convey the grandeur of the world background, possibly due to budget constraints, resulting in a portrayal that resembled villagers with high-tech weapons engaging in petty fights. With ample resources now available, Liu Lang certainly would not repeat the same mistakes. The depiction of war scenes will be crucial, with multiple unique rebel factions and their leaders appearing in the film. Additionally, the selection of the main characters needs reconsideration. It is no longer feasible to cast all Western actors as in the original work. In the film's background setting, The future world does not have political divisions based on nations. All of humanity on Earth is under the management of a Citizen Cooperation Management Bureau, CCB. The male protagonist, as an ordinary civilian unable to access the space, naturally stands in opposition to the CCB controlled by the wealthy elite. Hence, this positive role in the story should be portrayed by an actor from a certain country. As for this crucial male lead, Liu Lang finds himself in a dilemma about who to choose. As a film with a grand worldview involving people from various nations, the choice of the protagonist significantly influences whether audiences will be interested in supporting the film. Liu Lang does not seek to cast a male lead who attracts audiences from all over the world, but aims to avoid provoking negative feelings among viewers as much as possible. Recently popular male stars in the domestic film industry have been promptly ruled out, not to mention Liu Lang's disdain for these stars. The performance of the domestic film market in the past year has shown that the success of The Wandering Earth has exposed the last vestiges of fame for these stars, while the disastrous outcome of Shanghai Fortress has proven that the era of fan-driven star power in the film industry may never return. Currently, these stars lack reliable box office appeal in the domestic market, let alone in the overseas market. The previous two installments of The Wandering Earth featured innovative plotlines such as space elevators, thousands of heavy nuclear fusion engines moving the Earth, digital life plans, AI rebellions, and engaging female leads, all complemented by exquisite special effects that were sufficiently captivating. Overseas audiences do not particularly care who plays the roles of the male leads. However, Paradise Space is different. The focus of the movie's plot will be guided by the male lead, and the audience's perspective will primarily be locked onto him. Therefore, choosing a likable male lead who can gain recognition from audiences worldwide is quite important. With no clear ideas, Liu Lang thought again of Dong Yinling from Byte Entertainment, as her previous recommendation of Wu Lei was very suitable. When Dong Yinling heard that Liu Lang was preparing to start the next film, she was quite interested. The success of the two Wandering Earth films had indirectly proven her vision and solidified her position within the group. As for the male lead, weren't Wu Jin and Wu Lei suitable from the previous two films? The casting criteria for this new movie are a bit strict, considering the overseas market. Jin Gu is strong but struggles with the dramatic parts. On the other hand, Wu Lei looks too young. He might be popular in the domestic and Asian markets, but the Western audience isn't as fond of youthful types. Liu Lang shook his head while mentioning the disadvantages of both. The male lead for the new movie needs to maintain a solid base in the domestic and East Asian markets while also having appeal in overseas markets, especially in the West, to satisfy the majority of viewers. You mean the lead should be able to portray a tough guy, have a good physique, and also possess some appeal in the domestic and East Asian markets? Dong Yinling thought for a moment and suggested a few names, such as Nicholas Tsai, Daniel Wu, and Takashi Kaneshiro, who were once popular in the Asian region. However, all were dismissed, either due to being too old or already semi-retired, which didn't align with Liu Lang's vision for the new film's male lead. But soon, Dong Yinling came up with a solution. She coordinated and contacted the project leaders of Douyin and the overseas version of TikTok within the group, using data analysis to filter out a batch of male stars who were widely recognized in both domestic and international markets. This data-driven approach, while not guaranteeing that every selected male lead would be welcomed by all audiences, at least ensured that the vast majority would find him acceptable. Among these male stars, one candidate caught Liu Lang's attention. Peng Yuyan? That's right. Peng Yuyan can shine in idol fantasy dramas like Xianjian and also star in tough guy films like Kickboxer and Operation Mekong. His roles in Cold War and The Reckoning have also broadened his acting range. Among the new generation of actors, his acting skills are quite commendable, with directors who have worked with him universally praising him. His dedication and self-discipline are evident, and importantly, his box office appeal should not be underestimated. Dong Yinling looked at the big data analysis report, where Peng Yuyan stood out among a number of male stars from a certain country, being selected as the most popular male star overseas based on his appearance and physique. It is worth noting that prior to this, Peng Yuyan had not participated in any influential films in the overseas market. The overseas audience voted purely based on his looks and build. That's quite impressive. Let's go with him. However, are you sure he has availability? Upon hearing Liu Lang's words, Dong Yinling couldn't help but feel a mix of amusement and exasperation. My dear Director Liu, don't you have a bit more confidence in yourself? You are currently the hottest director in our country. In terms of commercial success, your two films have grossed over 20 billion in box office revenue combined. As for artistic achievements, you've won the Palme d'Or and awards for Best Script and Best Director at Cannes. Do you know how many big-name stars are eagerly waiting to collaborate with you? Now, it's those stars who are seeking to work with you, not the other way around. If I were Peng Yuyan and had the chance to collaborate with you, even if there were scheduling conflicts, I would pay any penalty to seize that opportunity. Is it really that exaggerated? Liu Lang scratched his head, still not fully grasping his influence in the domestic film industry. It's not entirely his fault. as he usually leads a rather reclusive life, interacting only with crew members during filming and barely touching the outside world, mostly just keeping up through the internet. Moreover, with the Security Bureau's protection, he couldn't attend international film festivals in person. Media reporters and people from the domestic film industry wanting to reach Lu Lang had to go through the Security Bureau and Dong Yinling first. Ironically, the people he interacted with most were from research departments related to scientific research and military equipment, as Dong Yinling had anticipated. After Peng Yuyan's agent received the call and confirmed Lu Lang's true identity, he immediately agreed without hesitation. Furthermore, he expressed a desire to sign the contract in person as soon as possible, and that very day, Peng Yuyan took a flight to Lu Lang. Chapter 227. A more suitable role candidate. It's no wonder that Peng Yuyan's agent reacted so exuberantly. This was the newly emerging director who had just defeated world-renowned director Cameron in the global film market, and Lu Lang was the male lead in the new film. With Lu Lang's debut films each grossing over 10 billion, he undoubtedly represents one of the most remarkable achievements in commercial cinema in recent years. Not to mention the Wandering Earth series, which has made a significant impact globally, winning the Palme d'Or and even facing off against Cameron's new film in a direct competition, emerging victorious despite challenges from certain regions. This is a unique and glorious achievement in the film history of Asia and the yellow race. It's important to note that since the invention of film as an art form, the narrative power of cinema has been firmly held by the Western world. Asian cinema, and indeed the entire yellow race, has held a position of catching up for over a century in the face of the white race. The Wandering Earth series has received positive feedback in the global film market, with impressive box office figures proving that films from the Dragon Country can also captivate overseas audiences. This has inspired not only the Dragon Country, which has been subjected to cultural invasion by films from various Western countries for nearly a century, but also the entire Asian film industry. Over the years, many Asian films have won awards at mainstream events in the West. However, films that can win awards while also achieving global box office success are truly rare. As the male leads of the two Wandering Earth films, Wu Jin and Wu Lei have become the envy of countless male actors in the domestic film industry during this period. Before filming Wandering Earth, Wu Jin was once considered a box office poison, and due to the existence of a group of detractors, many investors and producers avoided him, fearing attacks from those mindless critics. However, after the release of Wandering Earth, the online opposition against Wu Jin seemed to vanish overnight. The film's success brought Wu Jin a massive new fan base, dwarfing the number of those who had previously criticized him, without Wu Jin needing to step in. His new fans rallied to defend him, effectively driving the original detractors off the internet. After the release of Wandering Earth 2, Wu Lei transformed from a second or third-tier star into a top-tier actor in the domestic film scene almost instantly. Previously, Wu Lei had not had any notable film or television works, but Wandering Earth 2 solidified his position in the industry. Unlike those who achieve sudden fame, Wu Lei has the solid foundation of a film that has both box office success and critical acclaim. A flood of film offers has come pouring in for this young actor in his early 20s, with lucrative pay packages that would make even the most popular first-tier male stars envious. However, they can only think about it quietly in their hearts. As the lead in a film that has grossed over 10 billion globally and won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, defeating Cameron in a direct competition, Wu Lei's start in the domestic film industry can be described as a smooth path ahead. With the vivid examples of Wu Jin and Wu Lei, male actors in the Dragon Country's film industry are eagerly hoping that director Lu Lang's next film will cast them. When he arrived at the tech company, Peng Yuyan still felt a bit dizzy. He never expected such a stroke of luck to come his way. Director Lu Lang, I am Peng Yuyan, and I'm very glad you could give me this opportunity. Hearing the excitement bubbling over from Peng Yuyan, Lu Lang found it somewhat amusing yet bewildering. The agent on the other side was quite impatient. Just a day after their phone call, he arrived here, almost as if he feared having second thoughts about casting Peng Yuyan as the male lead and insisted on signing the contract to feel at ease. Upon careful observation, although Peng Yuyan was more than a decade older, his dedication to fitness and youthful appearance could easily lead one to believe he was in his 20s. In the new film, he was set to play an ordinary person with strong convictions who had once been part of a gang, which required certain physical attributes. With some time left before the official shooting began, preparations were necessary to fit the character's image, Lu Lang advised. Upon hearing Lu Lang's words, Peng Yuyan immediately expressed his willingness to cooperate and showcased his muscles on the spot, asserting that he had been consistently training in fitness and boxing, fully meeting the requirements for the male lead in Lu Lang's new film. With the male lead sorted out, selecting the remaining roles became much easier. The female lead, who grew up alongside the male lead and is a nurse, had limited screen time. Thanks to Dong Yinling's recommendation, Li Qin, who had a good rapport with the character, was chosen for the role. Another female character was the antagonist, the Minister of Defense, who had a significant role and required a seasoned actress with substantial experience. In the original film, this character was played by a well-known actress. Lu Lang felt she was a perfect fit and contacted her agent through the Longing Group. Upon learning that it was a new film by the director of the successful series, even though the role was a villain, the actress readily agreed. The film market is quite realistic. Had Lu Lang not been famous, even promising a prominent positive role with a generous salary might not have convinced her. However, now that Lu Lang had the box office hit from the successful series, even a villain role was accepted without hesitation. Additionally, a senior management role within the antagonist company required a foreign male actor as a hostage taken by the male lead and the rebels, which didn't have much screen time. After some consideration, Lu Lang decided to invite Adrian Brody, an actor known for his melancholic charm, who had left a strong impression on audiences in The Pianist. On the other hand, he also played a classic villain in The Pianist, known for his ruthless style, making him a fitting choice for the role in the new film. When it came to the leader of the rebels, Lu Lang quickly chose multiple candidates he had in mind. With Lu Lang's adaptation, the conflict between the rebels and the opposing faction became quite significant in the film. Given the expansive world building from the previous series, the rebels would naturally not be depicted as a small group as they were in the original film. Lu Lang's plan includes at least 5 or 6 distinct rebel leaders to appear. Chapter 228, All Villains. To highlight the grand backdrop of the movie Paradise Space, Lu Lang envisions involving multiple rebel factions in the large-scale war scenes, with at least 5 to 6 factions participating. In the film, the luxurious Paradise Space, controlled by wealthy elites, monopolizes all technological advancements. Ordinary civilians on Earth become mere resources for Paradise Space, with the entire planet sustaining the indulgent lifestyles within. Yet, none of this ever concerns the common people on Earth. The advancement of technology has not yielded positive outcomes. Instead, it has led to population explosions and increasing resource scarcity, with limited survival resources prioritized for the wealthy in Paradise Space. This ultimately incites a rebellion among the Earth's populace, as countless civilians rally behind their chosen rebel leaders, seeking a transformative change. However, Paradise Space wields numerous police robots and advanced weaponry, enforcing a regime of oppression over the Earth's civilians. Repeated failures have forced the rebel movements underground. The story of the protagonists in Paradise Space begins here. Lu Lang considers the selection of several rebel leaders' roles in the film to be very important. Although these characters may be deemed supporting roles, their presence can significantly expand the film's worldview. When thinking of rebel leaders, Lu Lang's mind first recalls Jiang Wen, with whom he recently collaborated in Wandering Earth 2. It must be said that Jiang Wen's charisma makes him a professional in this type of role within the film industry, having portrayed a bandit character deeply in Let the Bullets Fly. In Lu Lang's view, Jiang Wen is undoubtedly the representative character for the rebel faction from his country. However, considering the international market's acceptance, Lu Lang does not plan to give too much screen time to Jiang Wen's character as a rebel leader. After all, the male and female leads are already from his country. If the prominent rebel leader were also portrayed by an actor from the same country, it would reduce the film to a narrow confrontation of one nation against another. Most importantly, this approach contradicts Lu Lang's intention to expand the film's worldview. Therefore, Lu Lang's plan calls for the actor playing the most significant rebel leader role to possess solid acting skills, high recognizability, and representativeness, ideally gaining sufficient recognition in overseas markets. Hiroyuki Sanada from a neighboring country came into Lu Lang's view. Known as one of the 4 kings of middle-aged actors from his country, Sanada is a prominent figure among male actors, recognized for both popularity and acting skills. More crucially, Sanada has actively participated in mainstream films and television in Western markets in recent years, making him the only Asian native actor in this realm. His roles in acclaimed Western films such as The Last Samurai, Westworld, Life, and Wolverine 2 demonstrate that his presence is not merely due to luck. He can be considered the male actor from island nations who is most accepted in the European and American markets. In Paradise Space, he plays the rebel leader with the most screen time. This morally ambiguous character perfectly fits Lu Lang's requirements. In addition to these 2 rebel leaders, there is another actor who aligns with Lu Lang's choice for the rebel leaders in the Asian region, Ma Dong-suk from a certain country. Ma Dong-suk's appearance and physique certainly do not conform to the handsome types favored by the East Asian film market, especially in a country that produces a large number of handsome male actors every year. With his muscular build and fierce demeanor, Ma Dong-suk stands out as an anomaly. However, he has carved out his own niche in the East Asian film market with a rare muscular tough guy image. In well-known films such as Train to Busan, The Outlaws, and Crime City, he successfully embodies the image of a strongman. Even audiences who haven't seen his films will often associate him with roles like gang members or mafia leaders upon seeing him on screen. This is precisely the effect Lu Lang aims to achieve, A rebel leader needs that kind of screen presence associated with all-around villains. After selecting the 3 rebel leaders from the Asian region, Jiang Wen, Hiroyuki Sanada, and Ma Dong-suk, Liu Lang turned his attention to the European and American regions. The first actor he confirmed was Wagner Moura, who plays the gang leader in the original film. While this actor may not be well known in European and American film works, his representative work, the series Narcos, has certainly made a significant impact. Based on true events, he portrays a smuggler who, by chance, becomes involved in the drug trade. Ambitious and ruthless, he sells countless drugs in North America, becoming a drug lord with immense wealth. At the same time, he gathers several major players in the industry to form the infamous Medellin cartel, quickly becoming a dominant force. The most frightening aspect is that this series is based on real events, with the drug lord Pablo Escobar, the Medellin cartel, and various incidents all having real-life counterparts. Upon its release, Narcos created a significant stir across North and South America. In the series, Wagner Moura's portrayal of the drug lord, from a petty vendor exploited by military and police to a powerful kingpin responsible for countless deaths, brings the character to life. After Narcos aired, locals in Colombia exclaimed that the Medellin cartel, which once bravely confronted government forces at its peak, had re-emerged on television. Thanks to the influence of this series, Wagner Moura has become a sensation across the continent. Another actor is Giancarlo Esposito. Just by hearing this name, many people may not have any impression. But when it comes to his nickname Fried Chicken Uncle, many movie fans will immediately understand. Fried Chicken Uncle's most notable work is undoubtedly the famous TV series. In the show, he is the big boss of a fried chicken chain, a conscientious entrepreneur who donates to the Drug Enforcement Agency every year. He behaves elegantly and carries himself with grace. Although appearing humble, he cannot hide the kingly demeanor within. He is also a ruthless crime lord, cunning and merciless, going to great lengths to achieve his goals, and enduring nearly 20 years for revenge. Yet, he has a good sense of style, a bit of a cleanliness obsession, remarkable courage, and is skilled in scheming. On the surface, he runs a fried chicken chain, but in reality, he is the biggest drug lord in the region. As a supporting character, Fried Chicken Uncle's performance in the show was once considered to overshadow the lead role, earning him acclaim from media and audiences as one of the most charismatic villain characters in history. This chapter serves as a recommendation for the shows. Both are truly fantastic. I give them 100 out of 10. Chapter 229. The Bandit Leader, Rebel Leader. The 5 leaders of the rebel forces are all distinct actors, easily recognizable to audiences around the world based on their representative works in various film markets. The ensemble of villains in the rebel forces adds to the immersive experience of the film. No matter which region the audience comes from, they can find familiar star characters in the film. After securing the main cast, Liu Lang quickly sent invitations to these actors through the overseas channels of Longyin Group. As the director of the Wandering Earth series, Liu Lang's reputation has soared in the global film market due to high box office success and accolades such as the Cannes Palme d'Or. After winning the competition against another major film, mainstream media remarked that Liu Lang is likely to become the next dominant sci-fi director worldwide, following a legendary filmmaker. With this achievement as a foundation, actors such as Hiroyuki Sanada, Ma Dong-suk, and Fried Chicken Uncle did not hesitate to accept the invitation, even though it was just a supporting role. For them, the draw of the film was not the lucrative pay but the name of director Liu Lang. Gaining recognition from audiences in film markets around the world is quite a challenge. Even a filmmaker of Cameron's caliber, with years of preparation for a major work, faced mixed receptions in some markets upon its release. Ultimately, he lost out in direct competition to the relatively new director Liu Lang, leaving mainstream film critics and media astonished. Just as directors hope their films can gain favor in the global market, actors also aspire to be recognized by audiences from various countries. Almost all actors in different film markets encounter developmental bottlenecks within their own countries. Once they reach the limits of a single film market, they often begin to turn their attention to broader overseas markets. For instance, Bruce Lee initially made his mark in Hollywood, transforming martial arts into a cultural symbol uniquely belonging to his homeland, sparking a global martial arts craze. Similarly, Jackie Chan was a dominant force in the film market of his home region, with every film he starred in becoming a hit. However, the scale of the film market there has its limits, amounting to no more than several tens of millions in local currency. Therefore, at the peak of his popularity, Jackie Chan chose to venture into Hollywood to expand his influence in overseas markets. The outcome is well known, leveraging the Hollywood platform. He successfully transitioned from a local star to a globally recognized action superstar, significantly altering the long-standing negative perceptions of his homeland's actors in overseas markets. Ultimately, he became one of the most renowned and honored filmmakers in the Chinese-speaking world and across Asia. With this striking example, actors from other countries also attempted to replicate Jackie Chan's success, eagerly pursuing opportunities in international film markets like Hollywood. In the film market of his home region, top actors such as Chow Yun-fat, Stephen Chow, and Jet Li have made similar attempts, yet the results have varied widely. Ma Dong-seok's development in his home country's film market has reached its peak. Due to his personal image, he often portrays characters like gang leaders or tough, muscular citizens. Although the market response has been mostly positive, the film market in his country is simply too small, prompting him to seek opportunities in overseas markets while his acting career is still at its prime. The vast prospects of the European and American film markets are far beyond what his home country can offer. Moreover, in these markets, top-tier muscular actors like Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham command starting salaries in the tens of millions of dollars. One film could earn him nearly the total of all his past earnings, which is undoubtedly enticing. On another front, the situations of actors like Uncle Fried Chicken and the lead from a well-known crime series are quite similar. Although the popularity of their respective series has brought them considerable attention, it has also confined their on-screen personas to roles of drug lords and gang bosses. For actors, high-quality work is fundamental to their survival in the industry. If they cannot produce a few more quality films before the hype dies down, the audience's ability to forget them can be alarmingly swift. In this situation, director Liu Lang's invitation was highly valued by them. Although he has only made 2 films so far and can be considered a novice in the directing field, the achievements he has made as a newcomer are heights that many who claim to be renowned directors will never reach in their lifetime. With the momentum shown in his 2 films, another exceptionally talented world-class commercial director is about to dominate the global film market. Being able to collaborate with such a world-class director is a dream opportunity for actors around the world, not to mention the generous compensation for supporting roles. Even if Liu Lang simply invited them for a cameo, they would agree without hesitation. For these actors, the worst outcome would be that the film flops. If Paradise Space performs as well as the Wandering Earth films, it would be a huge gain for them. Compared to foreign actors who have not collaborated with him before, the invitation for Jiang Wen was much simpler. After working together on The Wandering Earth 2, Jiang Wen had established a connection with Liu Lang and became an acquaintance. Therefore, when he received Liu Lang's invitation for a cameo in the new film, he readily agreed. However, is it really just a cameo this time? Last time, I remember you turning my cameo into a significant supporting role. In The Wandering Earth 2, Jiang Wen was indeed persuaded by Liu Lang to take on a key role comparable to that of another prominent actor. Come on, don't mind those details. This performance will definitely pose no difficulty for you. Oh, how so? As usual, this time the cameo is still a rebel leader. After hanging up the phone, Jiang Wen couldn't help but scratch his head and glance in the mirror. Do I really look like a bandit leader or a rebel chief? Chapter 230. Film production model. After resolving the casting issue, Liu Lang called upon Lin Hao, who had been in a period of unemployment and rest. If Liu Lang, as the director and screenwriter of the previous The Wandering Earth crew, was considered the brain of the team, then Lin Hao, who was responsible for various matters and ensuring the stable operation of the crew as the assistant director, could be said to be Liu Lang's most trusted right-hand man. Having gone through the grind of 2 large-scale Wandering Earth productions, Lin Hao's personal skills in filmmaking may not have shown significant improvement. But when it comes to organizing the crew's affairs, coordinating arrangements among hundreds or even thousands of staff, managing multiple filming locations, and handling the logistics of props production, Lin Hao had definitely become quite adept when it comes to the industrialized production methods praised in Hollywood. The biggest gap compared to the domestic film industry is not in the shooting techniques of domestic directors, nor in the acting skills or innovative film selection abilities of the actors. The most significant difference lies in the often overlooked logistical work of the crew and the professional, large-scale industrialized shooting model. The domestic film industry largely follows the filmmaking approach of a certain island, where directors and producers cultivate their own behind-the-scenes personnel to form film crews, and then adjust the cast as needed during the shooting process. This small-scale, efficient crew model has clear advantages, as the crew members are familiar with each other and have developed a tacit understanding through years of collaboration. When shooting medium to small-sized films, the production pace is remarkably fast. The films from this island experienced tremendous success in the 1980s and 1990s, dominating the Asian region and making stars from these films enjoy celebrity status in Southeast Asia and other areas. This success was largely supported by numerous small and efficient crews. At the peak of this era, a commercial genius director from the island once created a myth of completing a film in just over 10 days, generating box office revenue of $22 million in local currency, becoming the biggest dark horse in that year's box office rankings. This low investment, quick return filmmaking model became quite popular in the island's film industry. Due to the small market scale and limited box office ceiling of only a few tens of millions in local currency, it was clear that only medium and small productions could survive. The small-scale, agile film crews on the island are extremely sensitive to changes in market trends. After a successful film is released, these crews can quickly jump on the bandwagon and produce similar works within just 10 to 20 days, flooding the market with various imitation films. This filmmaking model has subtly influenced the domestic film market, where local filmmakers have taken the island's cinema as a learning reference. Various family-style crews centered around well-known directors and strong producers have emerged, resembling workshops that follow successful models like the Family Class and Hung Family Class from the island, contributing many popular and critically acclaimed films during the early stages of the domestic film industry. However, as the new century began, the drawbacks of this small workshop crew model quickly became apparent. The most evident issue is that these small crews struggle to adapt to the production of large-scale films. Industrialized big-budget films, spearheaded by a certain well-known film industry, began to take over the global market. The action films that the island was adept at could also be produced by this major industry, especially as many film talents flocked to it. However, the high investment, large-scale special effects films, with their unparalleled visual effects and numerous industrialized production teams, are something that the small island film industry cannot replicate. The crew model of the island emphasizes inheritance, where every new crew member is like an apprentice learning the skills and experiences from seasoned professionals. Whether they can truly learn depends on the mentor's attitude, and the genuine technical know-how is often closely held by these mentors. Without 3 to 5 years of experience, it is unlikely that they will easily share their knowledge with apprentices. In this context, although there are many practitioners in the film industry on the island, the real industry experience is always held by a small number of people within the top film crews. The technical experience in the industry cannot be widely disseminated, and the model of film crews on the island can only be maintained within these small and efficient teams, making it impossible to promote large-scale film production. Furthermore, with the booming development of high-tech industries worldwide in the 1980s and 1990s, the transformation of the computer industry brought about the emergence of computer-generated effects technology, allowing major films from Hollywood to be marketed globally. At this time, the experienced veterans within the island's film crews, who cherished their unique skills, found their market diminished under the large-scale, industrialized production models of Hollywood's blockbuster special effects. After experiencing a glorious period in the 1990s, the film industry on the island quickly declined, becoming a memory of the times, with the impact of Hollywood's large productions being a significant factor. As domestic filmmakers inherited the experience and systems from the island's film industry and faced a much larger domestic market, they also began to venture into large-scale and high-investment film production. However, rather than focusing on enhancing the foundational training of film industry personnel, standardizing and industrializing the production process, and developing computer-generated effects technology that could significantly enhance film production, the emphasis was placed on increasing the number of cast members, investing in larger sets and props, and scaling up the star power. With thousands of extras and hundreds of tons of weapons, armor, and props, the investments were substantial. For instance, it was reported that a film consumed 4 million chrysanthemums for set decoration and spent $1.25 million on a golden armor costume, which were touted as examples of large-scale, high-investment productions in the domestic film industry. While the investment amounts were indeed large, the actual number of crew members involved in the filming remained small, with only a handful of core staff alongside a vast number of extras. Initially, using large set investments, numerous extras, and expensive props as gimmicks seemed effective. However, as this practice became more frequent, audiences quickly grew disenchanted. Meanwhile, Hollywood, moving towards large-scale, effects-driven, and industrialized production, began to exert its influence on the global film market. The domestic film industry, which essentially operated under the small workshop model reminiscent of the island's film practices, soon faced significant losses against the backdrop of Hollywood's mature commercial blockbusters. Ultimately, it had to rely on protective measures to sustain itself. Following this, The Wandering Earth emerged as an attempt at industrialized science fiction filmmaking in the domestic arena. The impact of the 2 Wandering Earth films on the domestic film industry was profound. The global box office exceeded $20 billion, and accolades such as the Palme d'Or, Best Screenplay, and Best Film were notable achievements. However, what truly shocked the domestic and even the entire Chinese-speaking film market was the distinct production approach of the Wandering Earth crew compared to other domestic films. Before The Wandering Earth, in the domestic film market, most films that achieved high box office success followed the model of short and efficient crews typical of certain regions. However, the crew of The Wandering Earth was completely different. The director and producer, Lu Lang, as a newcomer in the industry, lacked an entrenched logistics team. The only criterion for selecting crew members was their capability. Whether they could adapt to the industrialized and large-scale production of The Wandering Earth was prioritized over any preconceived notions of status. On the other hand, Dong Yinling, who was responsible for the collaboration, represented a relatively new player in the industry. Many of the film production talents she recruited had been marginalized in established production teams, feeling frustrated and sidelined due to seniority-based practices that are deeply ingrained in the industry. In the domestic market, heavily influenced by the regional film crew model, seniority often took precedence over personal ability. However, Dong Yinling was not concerned with personal connections. She sought individuals who truly had the skills to support a film project effectively. Thus, by investing significantly, she quickly attracted a large number of technical talents from the film industry. On another front, Lin Hao, Lu Lang's assistant and deputy director of The Wandering Earth, was also crucial. Coming from a family with a strong background in film, Lin Hao was exposed to the unrefined inner workings of the industry from a young age. Among his relatives, some worked on props. Some were responsible for casting and training extras, while others provided full costume and makeup services, even catering to the crew. It can be said that except for the core members directly involved in filming, Lin Hao's family could cover over 90% of the business in domestic crews. Growing up in this environment, through observation and the teachings of family members, he became acutely aware of the various issues within the film industry. Although he had only graduated from university a little over a year ago, his experience in film crews began when he was helping out with his relatives. Thus, the combination of newcomer director Lu Lang, industry rookie Dong Yinling, and Lin Hao from a film family, three individuals not traditionally associated with the domestic core director and producer teams, came together and ultimately achieved the remarkable success of The Wandering Earth. The experience gained in filming this large-scale industrial sci-fi film has become something that numerous companies and crews in the domestic film industry envy. Before The Wandering Earth, no crew in the domestic or even the broader Chinese-speaking film world had managed to produce a large-scale industrial film at the level of Hollywood. While there is no shortage of professionals in areas like cinematography, lighting, and props in the domestic market, the gap in quality compared to top Hollywood teams is not as significant as one might think. In terms of film investment, the domestic market is certainly not lacking in funds. From early coal tycoons to later investments in real estate, the internet, finance, and other industries, there is no shortage of capital, and there are even official policy subsidies. In the realm of special effects production, relevant technologies have also flourished significantly since the new century. The most obvious sign is that many top special effects studios in Hollywood often outsource tasks to domestic teams, indicating that domestic special effects production is not as weak as some netizens may think. When adding it all up, each component is strong individually, but integrating them into a cohesive unit is not easily accomplished. Dispersed, they resemble a sky full of stars. When gathered, they become a chaotic mess. This is roughly the idea. Therefore, when the film The Wandering Earth was first shot, Lin Hao, as the assistant director, did not have complete confidence that he could organize the personnel provided by Dong Yinling into a truly capable team that could produce a standardized, modernized, industrialized movie on par with Hollywood blockbusters. Everything was a trial-and-error process. After Lu Lang placed full trust in him and delegated authority, Lin Hao combined insights from numerous documentaries about Hollywood's industrialized film production teams with his own experiences and reflections from growing up in a film family. He bravely integrated the Wandering Earth crew into the first domestic industrialized film production team with distinct national characteristics. Initially, the crew faced some bumps along the way, and Lin Hao often needed to seek help from relatives. However, as time went on, the entire crew became more mature through collaboration, with various professional regulations established. The crew functioned like a precisely structured machine, where each member was a part of the whole, under the guidance of rules and work manuals. Even a newcomer could clearly understand their role. Unlike traditional small workshop crews, where the entry and growth of new members depended entirely on the mood and attitude of experienced staff. By the time Wandering Earth 2 was being filmed, Lin Hao had become quite adept at managing a large industrialized crew. From initially overseeing the catering for the crew himself to managing a team of over 1,000 people shooting 2 to 3 scenes simultaneously, Lin Hao handled it all calmly, allowing Lu Lang to focus on the filming without worrying about any other trivial matters. It's no exaggeration to say that without Lin Hao, Lu Lang alone would not have been able to complete the filming of The Wandering Earth so effortlessly. Hey, where are you? Brother Lang. I was invited by the Film Academy to give a speech, the one you mentioned you didn't have time for. I can't believe we've become well-known alumni. Haha. Wait a minute, a junior wants to add me on WeChat. Just a sec. All set. By the way, did you know that the vice dean was reported by our counselor for investigation? I just had a meal with the counselor yesterday, and he said he has been displeased with that guy for a long time. Which vice dean? Lu Lang momentarily forgot who the other person was. After graduation, the people he interacted with were either heads of security agencies or academicians from the sciences. A vice president of a film academy was indeed too low in status to be remembered by him. He didn't even pay attention to the rankings of his graduation project at that time. By then, he had already won the Sci-Fi Starlight Award. and an award based on school rankings was hardly worth his attention. As for the ranking of his graduation project, well, never mind. That vice president was just a clown. By the way, Langu, what do you need from me? Howsy, I have ideas for a new movie. Let's come together, grow bigger and stronger, and create brilliance again. Hearing about the new movie, Lin Hao was quite excited. The filming of modern movies was no longer a simple matter of 3 or 5 people with a camera wandering around for a few days. Influenced by the globalization of commercial films, the tastes of audiences in the global film market had become more discerning. For a commercial film to gain more viewers in theaters and encourage them to willingly spend money on tickets, it required higher special effects production costs, larger production teams, better quality props, costumes, and set design, as well as more captivating scripts and plots. None of these could be lacking. This significantly raised the demands on film crews. Small workshop-style crews were increasingly struggling in market competition. In their place were the large, specialized teams that thrived in Hollywood. Departments for props, cinematography, post-production, and crowd services. And even scriptwriting had dedicated teams, usually consisting of at least 3 to 5 people. In these large crews, each department's staff focused on their specific tasks. Unlike small workshop crews where everyone had to be a jack of all trades, each person only needed to excel in their area of responsibility. This greatly reduced the learning costs for crew members. With a period of training, they could become qualified team members. With the collaboration of these specialized members, Hollywood could quickly assemble large crews of hundreds of people. Even if the members had not worked together before, it did not hinder their ability to perform. Each person only needed to complete their assigned work, and with the producers and assistant directors coordinating and refining the details, a mature large production crew could swiftly enter a working state. This industrialized production model for filmmaking was the greatest tool for Hollywood to rapidly seize the global commercial film market and dominate worldwide. After the experiences of filming 2 The Wandering Earth movies, Lin Hao also vaguely sensed the magic of such industrialized production crews. The collective strength of hundreds or even thousands of professional film crew members working together to produce results is far beyond what small local productions can achieve. After watching the completed films of both The Wandering Earth, Lin Hao and other crew members felt even more confident in such an industrialized filmmaking team. This also made Lin Hao look forward to the future, hoping to see more domestically produced films that could match the quality of major commercial productions from other regions. Upon receiving news from Lu Lang, Lin Hao wasted no time and immediately contacted the crew members from the previous The Wandering Earth production. As the first industrialized production team in the country, the related production team for both films involved around 300 to 400 members. The remarkable achievements of The Wandering Earth provided these team members with a tremendous sense of honor. This was not only due to its high box office and award accolades, but also because, within this unprecedented industrialized production team, there was no favoritism or reliance on connections like in smaller productions. Everything depended on capability. If you could perform, you would thrive. If not, you wouldn't. Moreover, the director, producer Lu Lang, assistant director Lin Hao, and other supervisors never engaged in unrealistic promises. When hiring, Dong Yinling evaluated salaries based solely on work experience and the significance of the projects. Assistant director Lin Hao focused solely on abilities, promoting capable individuals to lead small teams, while those lacking skills would simply work as technicians. Anyone attempting to slack off and disrupt the team's progress would be dealt with by the other team members without Lin Hao needing to intervene. As for Lu Lang, he was responsible for providing substantial funding and ensuring that the group tasks were completed on schedule. Alongside salary distribution, he also provided performance bonuses, if overtime was required. Generous overtime pay incentivized crew members to willingly work extra hours. At the end of each group task, completion bonuses were awarded to every team. If the box office exceeded a certain threshold, even ordinary employees who were not eligible for profit sharing would receive a substantial bonus. If the film won awards, Lu Lang would also give each crew member a significant red envelope as a gesture of celebration. With a director and investor like Lu Lang, crew members of The Wandering Earth often ended up with final earnings that could reach 2 to 3 times their contracted salaries. This fostered a strong sense of belonging and identification within the crew. Therefore, as soon as Lin Hao announced the news of the new film, the members of The Wandering Earth crew quickly began to gather, eager not to miss the opportunity to work with director Lu Lang again. Assistant director Lin Hao and the crew were ready, with the main actors in place. The only remaining step for filming the space between was to choose the filming base. In the original film, the protagonist's residence is in a city that has long lost its former glory by the mid-22nd century, becoming a desolate wasteland and slum due to overpopulation, resource depletion, and environmental degradation. To emphasize the grand background of the film, it was crucial that the protagonist's city was not just any random location. On the other hand, The security bureau responsible for the safety plan could not allow the protagonist to shoot abroad. After careful consideration, the filming location for the project was chosen to be on an island. With financial backing and assistance from official organizations like the Longing Group, the protagonist quickly secured a filming base on the island that featured a modern urban structure resembling a slum. This modern, cyberpunk-style filming base aligned perfectly with the protagonist's vision for the story's setting. Compared to the original film's desolate portrayal, which relied heavily on green screens and bore the cliches of a futuristic slum, this new setting offered a more immersive experience. The original filming location, rather than being a futuristic version of the city, resembled real-life slums found in regions like Mexico, South Africa, and Rio de Janeiro, failing to adequately represent the high-tech, low-material living conditions of a future society in the mid-22nd century. In contrast, the cyberpunk-style set on the island better matched the protagonist's conception of the world in the film. With everything in place, the third film in the protagonist's directing career was finally ready to begin shooting. Chapter 233. Intelligent filming team. When the protagonist arrived at the filming base on the island, the assistant director had already brought a large production team of nearly 400 people to adapt to the shooting location. The head of the security bureau had promised the protagonist professional military personnel and equipment, which were stationed on the island under the pretext of military exchanges with local forces. This contingent of nearly 4,000 frontline combat troops and their respective military advisors and personnel had a dual mission: to facilitate the filming and to ensure the protagonist's safety. Despite the filming location being within the country's territory, the head of the security bureau remained vigilant. The directive from the strategic office was to ensure the protagonist's personal safety at all costs, with a priority even higher than that of the highly classified Starfire nuclear power station project. Given the value of the research achievements brought by the protagonist, it was clear that he warranted the highest level of security available. Remarkably, this request received no objections when reported to the strategic office. Thus, the head of the security bureau readily agreed to support the film crew with thousands of frontline soldiers. While assisting with the film's production was a facade, the true objective was to protect the protagonist. Among the crew, the busiest person was the assistant director, who served as the overall manager of the production. Before Lu Lang's arrival, he had to take care of the daily needs of the entire crew, collaborate with local authorities, prepare for the filming tasks, and customize various equipment and props, as well as procure raw materials. Even though Lin Hao had quickly grown through training on 2 films, the preparation for the new movie still kept him extremely busy. Meanwhile, the main actors of the film who rushed to the filming location were watching the bustling crew while waiting for the director's arrival. Actors like Adrian and Jodie Foster, who came from a Hollywood background, were not too surprised by the filming base for the movie and the large crew of nearly 400 people. After all, Hollywood has been a pioneer in industrialized film production, and large film companies typically have such mature and extensive production teams. However, even in Hollywood, only well-known big investments, major productions, and renowned directors have the qualifications to mobilize hundreds of professional technicians to form a large industrialized crew. They did not expect to see such a professional large-scale industrialized film production team outside of Hollywood, especially in a place like the Dragon Country, where commercial films lack competitiveness. Apart from The Wandering Earth, Adrian and Jodie Foster couldn't think of any other commercially successful films that could be named. On the other hand, fellow Asian filmmakers Ma Dongxi and Hironobu Sanada were much more shocked. Ma Dongxi had always felt that although the film industry in the cold country started late, with a relaxed review system and strong support from official departments, the maturity of the market and the quality of the films had already surpassed that of the Dragon Country. But the filming base for Elysium and the crew's performance completely refreshed his perspective. The fact that the valuable land of the island could provide over 1,000 acres as a filming base. And it was not just wasteland, but a set composed of various semi-finished urban buildings forming a city slum, left him in awe. What shocked him even more were the machines assisting the engineers in constructing the cyberpunk-style slum set at the filming base. What were those? Frame robots? Clumsy robotic dogs? Having seen The Wandering Earth, Ma Dongxi certainly recognized these props. But weren't these items from the movie? How did they become something like engineering robots now? Moreover, they appeared to be highly intelligent, requiring only one real construction engineer's guidance. While hundreds of these frame robots and clumsy robotic dogs could complete the cyberpunk-style set of a building in a very short time. This point even amazed Adrian, who comes from Hollywood, and Jodie Foster, not to mention Ma Dong-suk and Hiroyuki Sanada from the Northern Country and the Island Nation. The film industry in the Northern Country is still in the stage of imitating Hollywood, even so-called superproductions made with the strength of the entire nation. Apart from having a crew size comparable to large industrial film production teams, still lag behind Hollywood in terms of the technical level of the production team, task execution efficiency, and the intelligence and modernization of equipment. In contrast, The crew of the Space of Bliss not only has a large number of production team members, but also boasts an impressive level of construction and set design. The presence of unmanned aerial filming devices floating above the filming base, giant robotic arms, and Matrix-style intelligent lighting machines left Ma Dong-suk momentarily stunned. Is this the true strength of the strongest film production team in the Dragon Country? No wonder they can produce commercial blockbusters that rival those of Cameron. Ma Dong-suk once, like many filmmakers from the Northern Country, fantasized about fully learning from Hollywood, believing that the film industry in the Northern Country would become the leader in Asian cinema and the second largest film factory in the world after Hollywood. However, witnessing everything at the filming base of the Space of Bliss instantly brought him back to reality, to say nothing of other aspects. Just the current situation in the Northern Country's film industry, where all filming and lighting are done manually, shows that reaching the level of intelligent and unmanned precise control of the Space of Bliss crew would require at least a 10-year technological gap. On the other hand, Hiroyuki Sanada from the island nation appeared amazed, but he was in a much better position compared to Ma Dong-suk. This is because the film industry in the island nation is completely out of sync with the global film market and can be said to be a world of its own. The most popular films are animated movies and adaptations of comics, which have little competitiveness in the global film market. Therefore, filmmakers like Hiroyuki Sanada from the island nation, who truly want to have an international influence, mostly go to develop their careers in Hollywood. Having worked in Hollywood for many years, Hiroyuki Sanada has also participated in numerous big-budget productions with star-studded casts. The application of intelligent machinery in the Space of Bliss even surpasses those Hollywood blockbusters he has worked on, which is what truly astonished him. Chapter 234. Filming begins among the main actors who arrived early. Jeong-won was the calmest in the crew. This is because he had already collaborated deeply with Liu Lang in The Wandering Earth 2, although he joined the Wandering Earth 2 crew in a guest role. The character of the rebel leader was undoubtedly one of the most important supporting roles in the film. As an actor, as well as a director, screenwriter, and producer, Jeong-won originally came to the Wandering Earth 2 crew with a learning attitude. The box office success of the first The Wandering Earth, which performed excellently in the global film market, left the domestic film industry envious and jealous. As a renowned director in the domestic film industry, Jeong-won was naturally very interested in The Wandering Earth, as well as in director Liu Lang and his crew. When he arrived on set, he was indeed not disappointed. The various realistic props, such as exoskeleton military armor capable of live ammunition firing and the joint government engineering transport vehicles that could be driven on site, left him in awe. What truly took his breath away was the planetary engine set, built using a 2,000-meter mountain peak as the backdrop, which completely stunned him into silence. Under the direction of the director and assistant director, hundreds or even thousands of crew members worked in a well-organized manner, which made Jeong-won feel a sense of inferiority regarding this large-scale industrialized production process. Having experienced the filming of The Wandering Earth 2, Jeong-won was not as astonished as actors like Ma Dong-suk and Hiroyuki Sanada. Come, try the best baijiu from the Dragon Country, Erguo. With an outgoing personality, Jeong-won took on the role of host before Liu Lang arrived on set, taking the initiative to entertain several foreign actors. He opened a bottle of Red Star Erguo with a bottle opener and introduced it to the curious foreign actors at the dining table. I had heard that the best baijiu from the Dragon Country is Mao Tai, isn't it? Hiroyuki Sanada, who understood a bit of Mandarin, asked with some confusion. That's what you foreigners think. Real men from the Dragon Country only drink this. This stuff will give you courage. You won't even flinch when an atomic bomb comes. Hearing this, Sanada's expression changed slightly. I think the best taste is from my hometown's shochu. I can usually drink a whole bottle, 500 milliliters. Ma Dong-suk, who hailed from a cold region, chimed in with his slightly awkward Mandarin to promote his own country's liquor. However, before he could continue, Jeong-won placed a whole 500-milliliter bottle of Red Star Erguo in front of him. As guests from afar, it's fate that we can gather together to make a film. On behalf of director Liu Lang, I welcome you all. No more words, it's all in the drink, Jeong-won said, raising his 50-milliliter shot glass and downing it in one go with a generous attitude. The foreign actors watched in fascination as Jeong-won showcased the unique drinking culture of the Dragon Country. On the other side, Ma Dong-suk observed the host Jeong-won's exuberance while holding a small shot glass, thinking about his own drinking capacity when consuming shochu. He quickly raised his bottle of Red Star Erguo and started drinking directly from the bottle, trying to demonstrate his true drinking ability as a man from the cold region. However, after just one gulp, he soon felt dizzy and tipsy. Hey, look at my memory. I forgot to mention that Erguo has an alcohol content of 56, Jeong-won said with a regretful smile. When Liu Lang arrived at the film set, preparations for shooting had already been completed under the direction of assistant director Lin Hao. The relationships among the main actors also became more familiar thanks to Jeong-won's hospitality. The the film crew quickly entered into shooting mode. In order to help the crew get into the right state as soon as possible, Liu Lang did not choose large-scale battle scenes for the initial shooting tasks. Instead, he distributed the individual storyboard scripts to the main actors and began filming the introductory scenes of the movie. The worldview of the film is set in the mid-22nd century on Earth. By that time, the concept of national governance had disappeared. All of humanity was under the control of the Earth Citizens Management Office, referred to as the Management Office. A small number of wealthy elites lived in the fictional, massive monopoly corporations constructed paradise in outer space. Due to problems such as overpopulation, environmental degradation, and resource scarcity, Earth had become a hell for ordinary people struggling to survive. Meanwhile, the wealthy elites indulged in a life of excess and paradise. This naturally sparked fierce resistance from the vast majority of the civilian population on Earth. The film's protagonist, Peng Yuyan, was born in the era following the construction of paradise. An orphan, he, like countless other civilians of that time, would habitually gaze at the starry sky at night, staring blankly at the visible star ring above. Xiaomei, one day I will take you to live on the star ring, and we won't have to be hungry anymore. This was a promise made by the young protagonist. Xiao Shuai, to his childhood friend, Xiaomei. What about Aunt Wang and Aunt Zhang from the welfare home? We'll bring them along to live well on the star ring. Young Xiao Shuai said firmly, but as he grew up, he realized how naive he had been. The benefits of technological advancements had never reached the hundreds of billions of impoverished people on Earth. All of Earth's resources were seized by the wealthy in the paradise. The paradise would never be open to the civilians. As Xiao Shuai grew up and understood all of this, he was no longer as innocent as in his childhood. Yet, he still remembered his promise to Xiaomei. Thus, he began to join the numerous resistance organizations active on Earth. He participated repeatedly in the struggles against the management office led by gang organizations and warlords. After countless battles and the continuous sacrifice of comrades around him, Xiao Shuai still saw no glimmer of victory. The military strength supported by the wealthy elites and the management office was too formidable. Tired of fighting, Xiao Shuai withdrew from the gang organizations and began to live a life like a walking dead under the control of the management office. Just then, Xiaomei, who had been lost for many years, reappeared in his sight. Xiao Shuai seemed to have found a new meaning to live on. At this point in the plot summary, Lin Hao looked up in confusion and asked Liu Lang, Brother Lang, it looks like the latter part will be a romance film. This doesn't seem like your style. Romance film? Are you kidding? The emotional scenes in Paradise Space 1T even last more than 10 minutes. Chapter 235. The story of a small character. Is the exterior team ready? The art department, hurry up. The extras will arrive in 20 minutes. The prop setup is speeding up. The machinery and lighting teams, get ready. The photography team is entering pre-shooting mode. The voice of assistant director Lin Hao echoed throughout the filming base through the loudspeaker and intercom system. With the coordination of over 100 staff members, the preparations for the first scene quickly fell into place. When Liu Lang arrived, Lin Hao immediately gave him an okay gesture. Liu Lang understood, and the first scene of Paradise Space officially began shooting. The flashback to the male lead, Peng Yuyan's childhood memories appeared briefly at the beginning of the film as background information and was not the focus. Once the shooting officially commenced, the plot unfolded around the reunion of the male and female leads. Apart from the surrounding cyberpunk-style city slum set and some outdated futuristic tech products appearing on screen, the first scene was no different from an ordinary reunion scene. However, the movie's plot soon reached its first conflict point. While the male lead was queuing to take a bus to work at a factory under a certain corporation, he made a few jokes at the expense of the patrolling robot guards. Coupled with his multiple criminal records, he was immediately subjected to a beating by the robot guards. The humanoid robot guards were made incredibly lifelike, with exposed mechanical wiring, cold electronic voices, and movement capabilities indistinguishable from ordinary humans, which astonished the extras and foreign actors present. The ruthless robot guards swung electric batons, striking the ground with such force that the tiles shattered into pieces. This terrifying display caused Peng Yuyan to instinctively dodge out of the shot, contributing the first unexpected moment of the scene. Sorry, director, I couldn't help it. This robot was just too scary. Peng Yuyan looked nervously at the shattered tiles on the ground. These prop robots could easily break tiles with a single swing. If they were to hit him, wouldn't that result in serious injury or even a broken bone? Don't worry. The actions of these props are all precisely calculated by computers. Liu Lang's words were indeed not a lie. Every piece of machinery and film prop at the shooting base was network controlled by the 550 series intelligent quantum computers. Though the actual combat capabilities of the robot guards were much weaker than those depicted in the film, as a movie prop, the robot guards were undoubtedly quite competent and qualified. With the support of intelligent quantum computers, robotic guards can accurately calculate the force and angle needed to strike bricks and stones based on their size, weight, and density. This not only maximizes the visual impact, but also prevents flying debris from harming those nearby. When using an electric baton on a character, the guards can precisely control the force, ensuring that the individual is not harmed while still creating the illusion of a brutal beating for the cameras positioned on site. The 550 series intelligent quantum computers have been fully implemented by the production team. Their powerful capabilities have allowed the filming of Paradise to exceed the effects achieved during The Wandering Earth. The complex and repetitive processes can now be autonomously handled by artificial intelligence. It can even control various construction machinery on set to meet the technical requirements of the crew, significantly speeding up the set construction process. Moreover, before Paradise is officially released and earns corresponding sci-fi credits that can be exchanged for the high-tech items featured in the film, the 550 series intelligent quantum computers can simulate and assemble those sci-fi props thanks to their robust performance. After this brief interlude, filming resumed. The injured male lead went to the hospital for treatment and finally encountered his long-lost childhood friend, Li Qin. They agreed to meet 5 days later, and after parting, the male lead hurried to a factory for work. In this future world, where high welfare is absent and faced with overpopulation, environmental degradation, and scarce resources, every civilian on Earth must work tirelessly for large corporations to survive. Ironically, the factory where the male lead works is responsible for activating the chips of the robotic guards that had previously assaulted him. He stared blankly at the simple bandage plaster on his arm and the waiting robotic guards at his workstation, realizing they were of the same model as the ones that had attacked him, all belonging to the same company and subjected to the same oppressive regime. In his younger, more passionate days, he might have been driven to destroy these tools of oppression used by the wealthy elite against the underprivileged. But now, he could only smile bitterly and continue with his heavy workload. The old machines, long overdue for maintenance, began to malfunction. But the supervisor showed no intention of reporting it to higher-ups, as that would incur significant repair costs. He harshly ordered the male lead to crawl into the hazardous equipment space for repairs. With no choice but to keep his job, the male lead complied. Thus, an unexpected and dramatic incident was destined to occur. The alarm sounded as the male protagonist, exposed to excessive radiation and suffering from organ failure, was rescued from the tightly sealed door, but it was already too late. The high-energy radiation had rapidly destroyed his body cells, and the multi-organ failure meant he could only rely on medication to sustain his life for a maximum of 5 days. After those 5 days, only death awaited him. The only treatment option was to reach the MP3000 medical bed located in a certain space. Only this medical device could save his life. However, the protagonist was just one of countless ordinary people on Earth, and the MP3000, exclusive to that particular space, would never serve someone like him. Desperate and feeling hopeless, the protagonist's heart was filled with despair. The series of treatments he had endured over time had pushed him to the brink of explosion and silence. With only 5 days left to live, he had nothing left to lose. He approached the leader of the gang he had once fought alongside, played by Hiroyuki Sanada, determined to fight one last time for the chance to go to the special space for treatment. This is a story of an ordinary person pushed to the edge, ultimately fighting back. Chapter 236. The war scene intensifies after entering a 2-week shooting period for the setup. The film's plot finally reached the key conflict between the rebel organization and the government forces, adapted from the original screenplay by Liu Lang. While it also depicted a rebellion, this battle scene in Paradise Space greatly exceeded the scale and military equipment compared to the attack on the joint government rescue team in The Wandering Earth 2, which Jiangwen participated in. As a long-awaited highlight and selling point of the film, Liu Lang placed significant importance on this war scene. He secured nearly 4,000 top-tier active-duty soldiers from Shirley, including a large number of military advisors and frontline commanders. After the release of Wandering 2, the war scenes between the rebels and the joint government rescue team received high praise from many military enthusiasts, retired soldiers, and military experts. Having been accustomed to the so-called action and war films from commercial blockbusters that glorify individual heroism, the surprisingly hardcore battle scenes in Wandering 2 stood out. Many military experts even exclaimed online, claiming that the rebel tactics and military quality showcased in Wandering 2 were comparable to the active-duty forces of a certain country. However, this did not receive any direct response from the Wandering 2 crew or director Liu Lang. Nonetheless, it must be said that such hardcore war scenes indeed added a lot of value to Wandering 2. With the experience gained from Wandering 2, Liu Lang, as the director of Paradise Space, was looking forward to the large-scale war scenes. His goal was not only to replicate the acclaimed battle scenes from Wandering 2, but to surpass them entirely. A larger scale of combat personnel, more advanced sci-fi-style equipment, and more adrenaline-pumping war scenes with explosive moments. The focus is on creating a scene that makes the audience feel their ticket price is worth it. This large-scale war scene involves numerous military equipment and various futuristic sci-fi style weapons and vehicles. Liu Lang adhered to the principle of making the footage as realistic as possible, opting not to rely entirely on special effects. Instead, he collaborated with a previously partnered engineering group and various official mechanical engineering companies as the prop team, who created one-to-one model replicas of the weapons and vehicles based on Liu Lang's storyboard. Having just the models wasn't enough. Liu Lang even designed action modules for these futuristic vehicles using a series of intelligent quantum computers, ensuring they could move and fly autonomously during filming, greatly enhancing their realism. Despite these efforts being a last resort for Liu Lang, who had previously created things from scratch for films like The Wandering Earth, the operation still shocked many top domestic mechanical industry firms. Numerous manufacturers expressed confusion over why Liu Lang was so meticulous, considering these were merely props for a movie. A one-to-one scale replica seemed sufficient. Was it really necessary to install matching power modules? Liu Lang just smiled at their comments. Models? Props? Once Elysium is released, it won't be long before the movie becomes a reality. In the intervals of filming the grand battle scenes, there were also some transitional scenes being shot, such as the plot of smuggling a spaceship from Earth to Elysium. The space architecture of Elysium possesses weaponry and technological levels that far surpass those of Earth. The Defense Department of Elysium can easily destroy the civilian small spacecraft used by Earth's smugglers. Yet, the Earth smugglers are willing to risk becoming space fireworks to reach Elysium, primarily for the incredibly effective MP-3000 medical system. This system can easily cure all known human diseases and even has miraculous effects akin to bringing the dead back to life. Desperate patients on Earth, suffering from terminal illnesses, have no choice but to take the fatal risk. Controlling the Defense Department of Elysium is the film's main female antagonist, who aims to use an iron-fisted approach to completely eliminate the possibility of Earth's lower-class polluting Elysium. This means she must obtain the highest operational authority over Elysium. The highest authority over the Paradise Space is controlled by an intelligent program, and only by rebooting the operating system of Paradise Space can the permissions be transferred. Thus, the female antagonist contacted a senior executive of the corporation that built Paradise Space, who possesses the ability to rewrite and reboot the operating system. The two sides prepared to work together to completely take control of Paradise Space, a treasure of human civilization built with countless Earth technologies and resources. By chance, a senior hacker from the rebel army intercepted this information. They believed it was the last hope for the rebellion, and the male protagonist's old comrades sent out invitations to other powerful rebel organizations, preparing for a coordinated attack on the corporation's headquarters to draw the attention of the public administration and disperse their military forces. Meanwhile, a team including the male protagonist, modified with exoskeleton armor, was dispatched to capture the corporation's executives, planning to head to Paradise Space and completely change its ownership. This sets the stage for the large-scale war scenes in the film. Liu Lang made logical and reasonable changes to the original script, providing a solid foundation for the film's most intense war scenes. After nearly a month of preparation and transitional shooting, the entire crew reached peak performance. Liu Lang then officially began shooting the major war scenes. This war scene involved the largest number of crew members, totaling nearly 5,000, including extras and active military personnel supported by Shirley. Various modified props, weapons, and vehicles, including equipment brought by the active military, filled the battlefields set up at the filming base. To enhance the realism of the shots, many explosions and war scenes were shot with live ammunition. Buildings constructed by engineering machinery were obliterated under the booming artillery of the active troops, creating a highly immersive battlefield experience that left the crew members in awe, even from a distance. Although the filming base was located in a remote area of Kowloon on the island, the noise from the war scenes was so intense that many local residents mistakenly thought an earthquake had occurred. Chapter 237. It's all a misunderstanding to achieve perfection. Liu Lang planned to spend nearly a month filming the most important large-scale war scenes in Paradise Space. The continuous sounds of gunfire over several weeks, along with various futuristic land vehicles and flying devices, amazed the local residents of the island. Many media outlets also arrived, eager to interview Liu Lang, who is widely recognized as a rising star in the sci-fi genre. However, when the onlookers and media arrived at the filming base, they found that the area was already guarded by local police. The entire Paradise Space crew was operating under semi-closed management, refusing interviews or visits from the media or the public. As the city with the highest degree of openness in the region, the speed of information dissemination in this area is remarkably fast. The next day, the entire island was buzzing with news about the new sci-fi film Paradise Space, directed by the renowned director Liu Lang. The filming was taking place at a studio in the outskirts of Kowloon, and it seemed that a group of mainland troops, who had previously come to the island on a friendly military exchange mission, were assisting with the shoot. The involvement of the military in film production did not surprise the media on the island, as there had been precedents in the history of domestic filmmaking. In the past, during the production of Water Margin and Romance of the Three Kingdoms, as well as later big productions like Hero and Curse of the Golden Flower, military personnel had assisted with filming. The disciplined and orderly soldiers were considered ideal extras. However, such occurrences had become increasingly rare in the new century. Yet, the involvement of the crew for Paradise Space elicited a sense of both surprise and inevitability among everyone. Paradise Space is Lu Lang's new work. Lu Lang is a rising star in domestic cinema, known for directing the two Wandering Earth films. Given the impact of the Wandering Earth IP in overseas markets, Lu Lang was once regarded as the most internationally influential director from the country after Zhang and Chun. Moreover, compared to Zhang and Chun, who were known for martial arts and action films, Lu's sci-fi works were undoubtedly more appealing to international audiences. Directors like Lu Lang, who could facilitate the country's cultural outreach, received some support from domestic officials, such as arranging soldiers to assist in film production. This was seen as entirely reasonable by people on the island and across the country. However, when this information reached the ears of certain overseas intelligence organizations, it immediately raised their alertness. Kowloon outskirts? What is the specific location of this filming base? The intelligence director frowned and asked his overseas intelligence advisor. After the advisor pointed out the location on the map, the director's expression grew more troubled. So, this troop is less than 20 kilometers away from our people? Currently, the intelligence department was executing an overseas manhunt. An engineer possessing sensitive military secrets was attempting to escape military control, and intelligence suggested that he had recently fled to the vicinity of the island. The overseas division of the intelligence department was fully engaged in tracking the individual's movements. Just as they were close to pinpointing the area where the target might be hiding, the director suddenly received news regarding the filming base for Paradise Space. Originally, the intelligence department had been on alert when the troops entered the island under the guise of a friendly military exchange mission. Now, discovering that they were stationed less than 20 kilometers from the area being searched by their overseas operatives set off alarm bells in the director's mind. Did the other party sense something unusual, or did our people leak information? The intelligence chief was in a state of turmoil, speculating about the real reason. Currently, the investigators deployed by the intelligence department in that region are all spies who have been undercover in the area for more than 10 years. Most of whom have Asian appearances. Logically, they should be quite reliable and unlikely to be discovered so quickly. However, the current situation is very abnormal, making the intelligence chief sense a dangerous atmosphere. Friendly military exchanges? Assisting with film shooting? The intelligence chief had no faith in such nonsense. Why is the timing so precise? That traitorous engineer had just entered the area, and shortly after, the military from another country went there for friendly military exchanges. The station location is also a film shooting base. It looks like a cover-up. Chief, the target location has basically been locked in. Do we need to order the overseas division's operatives to take action? At this moment, a subordinate finally brought good news. The approximate location where the traitorous engineer was hiding had been identified. After pondering for a while, the intelligence chief made up his mind. He ordered the elite team to take action swiftly and decisively, ensuring that the traitor is eliminated before the foreign military can react. The operatives from the overseas division are responsible for providing intelligence support to the elite team. The intelligence chief issued the order firmly. According to the plan, the operation was originally supposed to be carried out by operatives from the overseas division. However, the intelligence chief did not trust the combat capability of those Asian operatives. He preferred to rely on the special forces that had proven themselves multiple times in actual combat, the elite team. This team is especially renowned among the special forces. In previous missions, they had undertaken highly difficult tasks such as overseas counterterrorism, hostage rescue, and enemy territory elimination. Choosing this experienced elite special forces team for the mission gave the intelligence chief a sense of security. Only by quickly resolving the traitorous engineer could the losses be minimized and the situation contained. The intelligence department began to get busy following the chief's orders. On the other side, not long after, the head of the National Security Bureau also received unexpected news. A foreign individual is seeking political asylum. They possess parameters of some retired military equipment from another region. Such minor matters can be handled by coordinating with someone. Is it necessary to report directly to me? Boss, this asylum seeker is a citizen of another country and is currently within the area. Moreover, according to the latest news from the Border Inspection Agency and our own intelligence sources, the special forces from that region might have infiltrated the area. Upon hearing the mention of the area, the chief felt a sudden tightness in his chest. The subsequent mention of the elite team made his expression tense. After checking the location from which the asylum seeker made the call, he found it was less than 20 kilometers from the filming base, causing him to break out in a cold sweat. Chapter 238. Special operations underway. Is it really worth such a significant mobilization for a traitor who only possesses partial information about retired military equipment? They even deployed an elite unit from the opposing special forces, the renowned team. This seems quite unreasonable. Moreover, this coincides with a critical period when Lu Lang is on the island, which feels a bit too coincidental, doesn't it? The more Shirley thought about it, the more he felt that this so-called traitor from the opposing side might be some kind of smokescreen. The true target of the elite team could very well be Lu Lang, a national treasure-level research master. Has Lu Lang's identity been exposed? That doesn't make sense. The Security Bureau has done an exceptional job in maintaining confidentiality. Internally, the Security Bureau is uncertain whether Lu Lang's identity has been compromised. However, Shirley is certain that the elite team is definitely not here for friendly purposes. Boss, should we immediately relocate Lu Lang? What is the situation at the filming base right now? They're currently shooting a war scene, and there are nearly 4,000 active duty soldiers serving as extras, along with corresponding combat equipment and vehicles. Upon hearing this, Shirley felt slightly reassured. The filming base must be managed with strict security. Regardless of whether their target is Lu Lang or not, his safety must be prioritized until the enemy's specific targets, numbers, and equipment are confirmed. Shirley is not prepared to hastily relocate Lu Lang. With nearly 4,000 active duty soldiers stationed there, it is arguably the safest area on the island right now. If they were to rashly move Lu Lang away from these main battle forces, that would probably be the enemy's intended goal. ISNT, they're a unit among the extras that has undergone intelligent transformation? Bring them out. I will personally lead the team to use these elite forces as a test. Their essay saying, it's easy to be a thief for 1,000 days, but hard to be on guard for 1,000 days. Moreover, this time the enemy has landed on the island. Just thinking about the terrifying consequences if Lu Lang were attacked makes Shirley's anger surge uncontrollably. The overall commander of the extra unit inside the filming base received the order and immediately conveyed the desire to pause the filming tasks to Lu Lang. What? You're planning to conduct friendly military exchanges with the station forces? Alright, no problem. Upon hearing this news, Lu Lang didn't think much of it. After a high-intensity war scene, the entire crew was a bit fatigued and needed to relax. Only Lin Hao, the deputy director responsible for logistics, felt something was amiss. Brother Lang, does military exchange require full armament? Those 500 soldiers look fierce, as if they're preparing for battle. It's quite intimidating. Those equipments are the latest generation of smart upgrades from the army. Isn't it normal to use them for military exchanges? Then why has our filming base been under closed management these past 2 days? They even arranged armed sentries and reportedly have live ammunition. Perhaps it's due to the discipline required by the military? After all, we have many real combat weapons and equipment at the filming base. Why are you so curious with so many questions? Hurry up and rest. We have more filming to do in a couple of days. Lu Lang didn't think too much about it. Exhausted from the intense shooting schedule, he returned to the dormitory at the filming base and fell asleep immediately. This mission's target is quite formidable. It's the elite SEAL Team 6 from a certain region's Special Operations Forces. I need you all to be in top combat condition and ensure they are completely neutralized, regardless of the outcome. Shirley, who arrived on site to personally command, issued the final orders to this team about to execute the mission. Despite the enemy being the internationally renowned SEAL Team 6, our side is merely an active combat unit. However, Shirley was still confident in his troops. The SEAL Team 6 cross-border operations would have no more than 50 core combat members, plus spies and agents responsible for support and extraction, totaling no more than 100 people. Our main combat force consists of 500 personnel, with additional station troops available for support. Moreover, naval vessels are patrolling and scouting the waters outside the island, completely cutting off the SEAL Team's escape route. The 500 active duty soldiers are equipped with upgraded intelligent combat gear. Each squad, 10 people, is equipped with a Kwafu Marine AI intelligence system, optimized individual exoskeleton armor, battlefield master holographic helmets, and advanced reconnaissance drones based on modified Predator drones, making them well-armed. As night fell, in an abandoned factory 20 kilometers from the filming base, a white man with a pale face, sunken eyes, and disheveled hair was anxiously hiding. The occasional sounds of stray cats and dogs nearby startled him like a frightened bird, fearing that the pursuing agents from a certain region would find him. Originally, he planned to sell the information he had for a good price to buyers from another country, but their offer was too low, and he was unwilling to accept it. While trying to contact other buyers, he accidentally leaked the information. Being pursued by an overseas intelligence organization, he fled in desperation, ending up on the island. He thought that since this was the territory of another nation, the overseas intelligence department would exercise some caution. However, he was surprised to find that the pursuers had simply replaced the white operatives with agents of Asian descent, and the pursuit did not stop. After several attempts to reach out, The local intelligence department did not provide a clear response. Could it be that the information I possess is of too little value? Or are those damn agents trying to drive the price down? He was feeling restless and lost in thought when he suddenly heard a faint, crisp sound of glass shattering nearby. Several stun grenades were thrown into the abandoned factory building. The white man's pupils constricted. Without time to think, his legs sprang up like springs, and he ran. Team A entered the target area and discovered the target unit's movements, proceeding with the capture. Team B was intercepting at the factory perimeter. Team C was on alert and had not yet found any suspicious targets. In a command room far away, the head of the intelligence department was listening to the report from the operations team, nodding slightly. The capture operation needed to be completed quickly, before the individuals from the neighboring country could react and get the target out of the area. Just as the intelligence chief finished speaking, before receiving feedback from the operations team, a harsh signal noise erupted from the communication devices in the command room. What was going on? The intelligence chief felt a sinking feeling. Boss, the operations team is experiencing electronic interference. Chapter 239. Is that all? All teams report their status. The technical support team is ready. The drones have taken off, capturing life signs in the target area, currently confirming 96 enemy military personnel, all armed with firearms. About a kilometer away from the abandoned suburban factory, under the cover of night, hundreds of fully armed Marines surrounded the area in a dispersed formation. Considering the enemy was the internationally renowned Special Forces, the operations team did not hastily order an attack. Dozens of reconnaissance drones ascended to a height of 100 meters under the cover of darkness, dispersing and hovering in formation. With the numerous sensors they were equipped with, the entire area surrounding the abandoned factory was thoroughly monitored. The Special Forces members of the operations team responsible for perimeter security, well hidden in their positions, had no idea that their every move was being monitored by inconspicuous silent drones in the sky. Each member of the operations team, concealed in the grass and between buildings, was highlighted and transmitted to the command room, as well as to the helmet display devices of the Marines coordinated by the AI system. The remote support team was in position, now aiming at 24 enemy outposts, ready to receive orders to open fire. The battlefield information provided by the drones was quickly compiled by the AI, creating a three-dimensional battlefield model centered around the suburban factory. This three-dimensional model was then transmitted to the waiting remote support team Marines on site. More than a dozen Marine squads, with remote support as their core, rapidly locked onto the hidden members of the operations team around the battlefield, even in the dark, thanks to the AI's guidance. On average, each outer sentry of the operations team was targeted by 58 sniper rifles, and the AI could accurately calculate the wind direction, wind speed, shooting distance, and other data, providing shooting lead time suggestions to the Marines. The entire battlefield, under the coordination of advanced AI, has become nearly transparent for the soldiers of the Dragon Nation. The assault team and fire support team have now reached their designated positions and are ready to launch an attack. The ground combat units, focused on battlefield assaults, are equipped with lightweight exoskeleton military armor and standard assault rifles, but they are also armed with stun grenades, flashbangs, and tear gas grenades. Wearing specialized protective gear, they can execute highly targeted raid operations guided by the advanced AI. On the other side, the fire support team is equipped with military-grade exoskeleton armor as well. But as a heavy model, their armor is mounted with a 127mm caliber heavy machine gun that has a capacity of 800 rounds, along with a grenade launcher that holds 50 rounds. This intelligentized Army fire support unit unleashes firepower on the battlefield that can only be described as a humanoid metal storm. All units, be aware that the enemy's reconnaissance drone has taken off and is preparing for combat. The previously calm situation escalated as members of an external team launched a drone to assist in reconnaissance. Immediately, the ground combat command from the Dragon Nation began issuing combat orders. The Night Owl reconnaissance drone quickly activated electronic interference, causing the external team's drone to spiral out of control and crash to the ground shortly after being powered on. At the same time, in the pitch-black night surrounding the abandoned factory in the suburbs, a series of crisp gunshots rang out in an instant. 24 hidden members of the external team were eliminated in an instant. Meanwhile, the assault team members, who had long been close to surrounding the abandoned factory, began their surprise action. Glass shattered as stun grenades cleared the way, but once these elite operatives rushed into the factory building, the static noise in their communication devices signaled trouble. The assault team members, waiting in the distance, swiftly approached the factory building with the assistance of their lightweight exoskeleton armor. As soon as the external team's sentinels were neutralized, several space sensor devices, resembling long-handled grenades, were thrown into the interior of the building. The internal layout of the building and the distribution of the external team members' positions were quickly processed by the advanced AI and relayed to the assault and fire support team members. At this point, the battlefield commander still did not order the assault team to charge immediately. This was partly to avoid unnecessary casualties and partly to show due respect to the renowned elite special forces. The commander instructed the fire support team to clear the way first. In the next moment, dozens of 127mm caliber heavy machine guns began to roar. Under the guidance of Kwa Fu, the Marine Corps members of the fire support team began firing at the abandoned factory building through a brick wall. The penetration power of the 127mm heavy machine gun bullets was extremely strong, and a mere brick wall was unable to withstand it. The brick and cement exterior crumbled like tofu. These members of the fire support team, seemingly using a perspective enhancement tool, shot down the unsuspecting members of Team 6 through the wall. The on-site commanders, who originally intended to continue using grenade launchers, reconsidered, realizing that if this continued, the already dilapidated exterior of the factory building might collapse, and reluctantly had to abandon that plan. After emptying their ammunition belts, it was finally time for the assault team members to enter. Stun grenades and tear gas canisters were thrown into the building, and the assault team Marines, wearing protective gear, quickly charged inside. Inside the building, smoke and dust filled the air, heavy with the smell of gunpowder and the acrid scent of tear gas, reducing visibility to nearly zero, almost as if one could not see their own hand in front of their face. However, this did not hinder the assault team Marines. Their protective gear not only helped them avoid the stinging tear gas, but also allowed them to navigate the smoke-filled interior using the three-dimensional spatial construction map provided by Kwa Fu. The assault team successfully breached the interior of the building without encountering enemy resistance, until a few minutes later, when the smoke cleared, and the Marines finally saw the specific conditions inside the building. The floor was strewn with dismembered limbs and pooled blood, leading the Marines to almost believe they were in a slaughterhouse. Even the most elite Special Forces soldiers are still mere mortals. Despite the Team 6 members wearing Kevlar vests worth tens of thousands of dollars, they were no match for the 127mm heavy machine gun bullets. Team 6. Is this all they have? Chapter 240. Does he deserve it? Far on the other side of the planet, in the operations command room of the intelligence department, the head of the intelligence agency listened in shock to the chaotic sounds coming from Team 6's communication devices. Amid the crackling electrical signals, there were occasional shouts of alarm and anger from Team 6 members. Damn it, we're ambushed. Find cover. Hide behind the walls. Have the sentries outside all died? Why was there no warning? Before the personnel in the North American command room could comprehend what was happening, a series of heavy machine gun fire erupted. Due to electronic interference, the communication signals received in the command room were intermittent, but the continuous sound of machine gun fire never ceased. It struck the heart of the intelligence agency head like a heavy drumbeat. Who can tell me? What on earth is happening? The intelligence chief attempted to drown out the fear rising within him with an angry roar. Boss, we have contacted nearby Asian operatives. They are heading to the combat area to investigate the situation. Boss, the satellite signal has been connected, and the battlefield footage has been transferred. The unexpected turn of events in the action plan did not cause the intelligence staff in the command center to idle. The military reconnaissance satellite quickly transmitted high-definition images of the battlefield. It was midnight in the island region, and the surroundings were pitch dark, making the satellite images not very clear. However, the continuous flickering sparks forming a circular pattern around the abandoned factory building instantly reminded everyone in the command room of the heavy machine gun fire coming from the communication devices of the elite team members. The scene on the large screen left everyone in the command room shocked and speechless. Retreat. Order the Asian agents on the periphery to evacuate immediately. At this moment, the intelligence director, who suddenly realized the gravity of the situation, quickly issued the command. The enemy was clearly well prepared, and the team members inside the building were in grave danger. The Asian agents, who were capable of gathering intelligence and conducting assassinations, were completely outmatched when facing a regular army. However, the Asian agents, who were not too far from the abandoned factory, had no time to retreat. Just as they heard the terrifying sounds of gunfire coming from the factory, the station troops, numbering over 1,000, completely surrounded them. Boss, the speedboat responsible for picking up the elite team has reported that a large number of patrol vessels are in the nearby waters. Should we no time to wait? Order them to evacuate immediately, the intelligence director said through clenched teeth. With the capture of these Asian agents, the intelligence organization's branch in the island region was effectively wiped out. But this was not the greatest loss. The intelligence director was most pained by the complete annihilation of the elite team. As the top special operations force, they were a direct unit of the Naval Department, and the elite team was among the very best. With just over 100 members, the elite team suffered a direct loss of more than half in this battle. This was an unprecedented blow since its establishment. What further troubled the intelligence director was that the elite team had been borrowed from the Naval Department. He was at a loss for what excuse to use to calm the anger of the naval officials, since this was an unauthorized cross-border operation, especially in a region under another country's jurisdiction. Even if there were survivors from the elite team, the official authorities could not acknowledge their identities. To avoid provoking accusations and related disputes, the official authorities could only classify those team members as mercenaries. This meant that even if there were survivors from the horrific gunfire, the official authorities would have no way to retrieve them. All of these losses would ultimately be borne by the operation leader, the intelligence director. The cup of hot coffee in his hand had gone cold, yet he stood there in a daze. His heart and future prospects had, like the coffee, completely turned cold. The abandoned factory building is littered with unrecognizable body fragments on the ground. Through the live video feed from the Marine's helmet, Shirley and a group of commanders and military advisors witnessed this special operation firsthand. The shock they experienced was no less than that of the members in the operations command room on the other side of the globe. Before the operation, everyone thought the Marines would achieve victory, but no one expected it to be so effortless. Throughout the entire encounter, the opposing side barely put up any resistance. Thanks to the intelligent combat equipment coordinated by advanced AI, the enemy did not even realize who they were up against until they were eliminated. During the operation, the Marines handled the situation with ease, as if they were adults playing with a blind child. The pre-prepared medical measures were completely unnecessary. Not a single member of their team was injured, and even in the post-operation report, it was noted that the enemy forces did not make a single threatening shot at the Marines. As for the enemy combatants, there was no need for medical assistance. The numerous body parts scattered around held no value or necessity for rescue. This surreal casualty ratio left Shirley and the military experts present feeling somewhat unreal. Even with a numerical advantage, they were up against the world-renowned Special Forces team. In their initial thoughts, they had prepared for the possibility of suffering some losses from a last-ditch counterattack. However, the newly upgraded Marine forces exhibited a level of combat capability that left Shirley feeling unfamiliar. With the support of advanced AI, an ordinary active combat unit was able to completely dominate the elite forces. Elite? The term was irrelevant. Shirley was still reveling in the extraordinary casualty ratio. Meanwhile, the military experts began discussing how to expedite the implementation of the intelligent upgrades. Boss, the assault team has found a survivor. The engineer we contacted earlier has hidden in the basement and is still alive. This news finally eased Shirley's excitement somewhat. After calm consideration and analysis, he issued an order: lock him up first. He might be in cahoots with the enemy. What intelligence could he possibly provide that would warrant a response from the Special Forces? Does he even deserve it? Chapter 241. Lock him up, lock them all up. When the white military engineer realized that the intelligence agency's pursuers had found him, he was in a state of extreme panic. He knew all too well what kind of unspeakable torture awaited him if he fell into their hands. He was originally prepared to commit suicide before being captured, but his survival instinct led him to choose to escape as soon as he noticed the approaching team. In a state of panic, he hurriedly hid in the basement, praying that the assassins pursuing him would overlook his hiding place. However, a sliver of reason reminded him that this was nothing but wishful thinking. The assassins, employed by an intelligence agency, were professionals. How could they forget to search the basement of the factory building? Just as the engineer was despairingly gathering his courage to end his own life before being caught, deafening gunfire suddenly erupted from upstairs. It lasted nearly a minute, and just when he thought his eardrums would shatter, the world finally fell silent. His heart raced, and after a few minutes of restless contemplation, he decided to take the risk and try to escape. Remaining in place was merely a matter of time before he was discovered. Only by fleeing the area could he hope for a slim chance of survival. However, when he emerged from the basement, the sight before him left him utterly stunned. Inside the abandoned factory, the ground was strewn with dismembered human remains. Blood splattered like expensive art paint, turning the entire first-floor hall into a crimson hell. The air was thick with the smell of blood, mixed with a nauseating scent of flesh and the strong irritation of tear gas, which finally made him unable to hold back and vomit. When he managed to recover and looked up, he was already surrounded by more than a dozen fully armed soldiers, identifiable by their military insignia. They wore advanced exoskeleton armor, metal half-helmets glowing in green, and matte black combat suits, with rifles aimed directly at him. Though he couldn't see their faces, the engineer broke out in a cold sweat. Instinctively, he raised his hands to signal that he meant no harm. "I love this country. I'm one of you," he shouted in a broken Mandarin he had hastily learned, his voice hoarse and loud. "They're here to save me." Overwhelmed with relief, he trembled with excitement, tears streaming down his face uncontrollably. But in the next moment, the butt of a rifle rapidly loomed large in front of him. With a thud, the engineer was knocked unconscious by the rifle butt. "Tie him up and take him away." Soon after, he was bound and dragged away like a lifeless sack of potatoes by the assault team. I demand the immediate restoration of my personal freedom and request a standalone villa, preferably by the lake, surrounded by mountains and water. Additionally, I require a certain number of security personnel to ensure my safety. Lastly, I want a job with an annual salary of no less than $1 million. Anything like a military advisor will do. After regaining consciousness, the white military engineer found himself locked in a room that resembled an interrogation chamber. However, he was no longer as panicked as before. He realized that since the people from the region had mobilized so many military personnel and engaged in such a large-scale operation to rescue him, the information he had disclosed regarding military equipment must be quite significant to them. Otherwise, there would be no explanation for their intense focus on him. Weighing the pros and cons, he decided to test their bottom line and see what kind of treatment they were willing to offer him. Upon hearing his words, the two security personnel responsible for the interrogation exchanged bewildered glances. One of them suggested, "Stop talking nonsense with him. Let him spend a day in the water cell to clear his mind." Through the one-way transparent glass of the interrogation room, after hearing the white military engineer's rambling, the lead interrogator was disinterested and directly ordered him to be locked in the water cell. The next day, after spending a full 24 hours in the water cell without any food, the drenched white military engineer was dragged back into the interrogation room. His soaked body dripped water continuously, his lips were purple, and he was shivering from the cold. Upon seeing the interrogators again, he hurriedly offered to cooperate. Coming from a